Police Officer Aubrey. Miami Police Department. End of watch, October 1st, 2020. Police Officer Aubrey Johnson died after suffering complications from an off-duty injury that occurred in a foot pursuit of a narcotics suspect on September 17th, 2020. During the foot pursuit, Officer Johnson suffered a torn Achilles tendon. He was discharged from the hospital and began physical therapy. On October 1st, he called a family member and stated he was not feeling well. The family member arrived at his home and found him unconscious. He was transported to Jackson North Medical, where he passed away as a result of a pulmonary embolism that developed as a result of the injury. Officer Johnson had served with the Miami Police Department for 4 years. He is survived by his parents, both of whom had served with Miami Police Department. Detective Kevin Dwayne Collins, 35 years old, Pine Bluff Police Department, Arkansas. End of watch, October 5th. Detective Collins was shot and killed as he and other detectives were conducting an ongoing investigation at a hotel. He and another detective were shot as they arrived at the location. 2 suspects were also wounded in the shootout and taken into custody. One of the subjects was wanted for murder in Georgia. Detective Collins had served with the Pine Bluff Police Department for 5 years and was assigned to the Violent Crimes Unit. Houston Fire Department. Fire investigator Lemuel Bruce, 44 years old, was shot and killed early this morning. He was investigating a series of arsons following a suspect when gunfire erupted. Both Investigator Bruce and the suspect were shot and killed. No further details are available at this time. There have been 68 line-of-duty deaths on this day in history, dating back to 1804, when Sheriff John Caldwell Cook of the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, North Carolina, was shot and killed by a subject who then fled to Tennessee and was not apprehended. Sheriff Cook served for only 10 months and was survived by his wife and son. We will now take a moment of silence to honor all of our fallen law enforcement officers, firefighter and first responders, and veterans that were killed in the line of duty. Welcome back to the Blue Room, folks, where we have the right to remain silent, but, Christian?
That ain't happening.
That ain't happening. Goddamn right it ain't happening. All right, do we have our first caller on the line, at least? No, not yet? All right, guys, buckle up, because it's going to be a long one. Josh booked 15 guests, and we will get to each and every one of them. Seriously, we have 3 guests tonight, and we're going to jump right in as soon as we get our first our hotline going. 4? We have 4 guests? I think we may have like 6, actually.
Maybe.
Do we count the dog? The dog counts.
5.
Yeah, totally. We're 5.
Totally 5.
We're 5 guests.
Stop complaining,
I'm
you
not complaining.
diva.
I'm not
Stop
complaining.
complaining.
It's just more work. That's all right. It's fine. It's not like I'm sitting around doing nothing. It's not like I don't have a multi-million dollar.
You don't.
I'm building an empire. Line of duty cigars.
all
I'm
right.
building an empire, guy. All right.
Can you save your plug to the end, please?
No, I'm going to plug it as much as I can. What are you talking about? That's what I get out of this. Caller on or no? We'll touch base on something else. Short and sweet. Go around. All right. So we do have a pretty jam-packed studio, and for good reason. A couple of our guests that will be in a little while. It's very relevant that we have Ken Hogan with us to my right. I hear you. Is that Ken?
Good.
Kenny's been on the show once before. He's a survivor as well. He was shot in the line of duty. And to his right is Rachel Morgan, also shot in the line of duty. Ron Torres, he plays with dogs. He does. I mean, he's not really. I'm not making that up, right?
It's true. He's a dog lover. That's good.
It's true.
Yeah, and we have Tolek Bortz with us, and we're going to get to Tolek in a little bit for his the charitable work that he does. After we speak with our first guest, who is, is he not on yet?
He's on video, but I don't have him on the phone.
Well, then we can see him, but we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Does he have a whiteboard or something he can just write his responses on?
Enrique.
Well, you know it's 8:10 to call. That's the thing. We scheduled him at 8:10.
All right. And what time is it now?
8:06.
All right, we got some time.
Oh man, we're gonna have to ad lib.
No, wait,
4
wait,
minutes.
no, we've got the stuff that we're going to get to later on in the show. We'll just touch base about the retirements that have come down the line, Chief Pichardo and NYPD.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Black Lives Matters in schools. We're not going to get to that tonight. Is that we're going to skip that?
Bro, let's
Listen,
start that right off the bat.
listen,
We're skipping that. Listen,
Let's just go in.
just because I'm not at the table.
If you want to,
just because I'm not at the
then
table.
pull up a seat at the big
If you want
table.
him muted, I can mute him.
I thought we were going to get to that. No, we're skipping. You keep putting me off every
can.
week, Tommy.
We can. I've been trying to talk about that and corrections officers for months now. We just you just keep overbooking the show. What do you want to tell you?
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
And I will miss the Chief Pichardo. Chief Pichardo on the air.
Good dude.
All day
Good
long
dude,
on
good dude.
Citywide. That guy,
Yeah, he's,
badass, bro.
Oh, dude, the
Badass.
story. He did 36 hours at the they're calling on the protest by the Orthodox community in Brooklyn, but it wasn't a protest. They actually celebrate the end of their holiday by dancing in the street. That's what they do. They've done it for generations. So it wasn't a protest per se, but he had worked 36 hours straight. Right? Goes home, crashes. He's done. The mayor calls him up on the phone. He misses the call because he's in deep slumber after working 36 hours. He wakes up. He gets the message from the mayor. He calls him right away. The mayor summons him to the office, and then he berates him in front of other people. And Pichardo's just like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm done. Handed in his papers. De Blasio, after the fact, after he said, I'm done, went back to him and said, no, can you stay? Can you stay? Can you stay? He said, no, I'm out. Good for him. Balls of steel.
How many callers did he take that first night? 29
himself. I don't know.
It was ridiculous.
But when you have chiefs like him, Monahan, Harrison, chiefs taking collars. It's not like it's a chief in a department of 30 or 40 guys where everyone's getting their hands dirty. These are chiefs in departments of 32,000, and they're putting hands on people, locking them up, and he's doing his job.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, there's been some tension though between him and De Blasio, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We have our caller. We do. Caller, you on the air?
You hear me?
Awesome, dude. So what we have tonight for you guys is the leader of a controversial group known for their extremist views on patriotism, but also staunch supporters of President Trump. We have the leader of the Proud Boys and the Florida State Director of Latinos for Trump, Enrique Tarrio. Enrique, sorry, I mispronounced your name, Enrique. You're with us, right?
Yes, I am here.
Awesome, man. Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And the reason that is relevant that we have this conversation is a friend of mine who is a friend of yours had basically said the railroad job that you personally are getting in the media, let alone what the group is getting, is bullshit. And this is someone that I know and I trust, and said, hey, you know what? If you really want to get that story out there straight, that I think we can connect you guys. So the discussion that we're going to have is not an opinion of mine or this radio station or any of the charities we're involved in. We just thought it was important to hear from you, your story, the organization's story, unbiased or as unbiased as it can be, without the mainstream media bullshit. So thank you for chiming in.
Well, thank you for having me on. And first and foremost, I wholeheartedly I agree that we aren't everybody's cup of tea. I get it. We cuss like sailors. We drink like sailors. We're a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, welcome to the party.
I understand that. But I prefer that people hate us for truthful reasons than become the boogeyman for Democrats. As you know, 2 weeks ago, we became public enemy number one for Democrats. And the reason why I think that happened is because we've been screaming about it for 4.5 years. It's actually when we get political, it's one of our main objectives is to expose domestic terrorism. We've been screaming about Antifa and BLM for 4.5 years. And as we see in the past 4 months, things have escalated. We've seen cities like Portland, Kenosha, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Miami, Austin, Los Angeles. I could keep going. We've seen these cities burn There is a big difference between protesters and rioters, but Democrats don't seem to know that. Democrats seem to they don't want to denounce these groups, these violent groups. That the reason why they're domestic terrorists is because they're trying to enact violence for a political cause. And since they haven't denounced them, the next political strategy, so it won't hurt them in the polls, because they saw it hurt them in the polls, is point your finger at somebody else. Well, I think a crucial mistake that Biden made was point his fingers at us when they were trying to talk about white supremacists and militias. Now, militias I have absolutely no problem with. They're actually part of our awesome Second Amendment, but that's not who we are. And then white supremacy, I mean, I think your viewers can see that I am definitely not a white supremacist. So
the viewers, if you can see him, you identify as a Afro-Cuban. Is that correct?
Well, the media portrays me. The media likes to identify me that way, which is true. It's one of the things that they're right about. I have African and Cuban blood running through my veins. My family escaped communism, and as a matter of fact, Che Guevara himself ordered the execution of 2 of my family members, and that's why my grandfather fled the country. But we have never been, Proud Boys have never been one to care what your religion is, what your culture is, what the color of your skin is. We only ask that you are a biological male, which is crazy that we have to be that pointed with that question because it's 2020. And that you love America. That's it. That you think America is the best country in the world. And that.
Well, I think what people like to jump on, though, is that the group was started, okay? The group was started as a white pride group, and which is fine because white pride does not equate to anti-anything else. It doesn't. It was about, Western civilization. You could be proud to be Jewish. You could be proud to be black. Then you should be able to be proud to be white or American or whatever it is that you choose to be. And that's the one thing I see come up, that white pride equals, anti this or white supremacy. And it just, I don't see the direct correlation.
Well, just to fix that a little bit, I have no problem with people that have pride in whatever color they are. I don't think anybody should have any racial guilt for what color they are, but the group was not started under the premise of white pride or anything like that. The group was actually, it's a funnier story. The group was started as a joke. It wasn't supposed to go past the first meet. Gavin started this on his show. His intern was a virgin. And
we have one of those.
In order, there you go.
We have one of those.
So, well, Proud Boys could have been started in your studio.
It could have been.
So he was trying to get his intern laid. And
that's funny.
What ended up happening is he told him to join a fraternity, and he's like, well, I'm not in college or in university. And Gavin said it as a joke. He's like, well, Friday we're all going to meet, and I'm going to create a fraternity. So they all meet together, and at this meet, they were like, okay, what are we going to call this fraternity? And Gavin just came from an Aladdin musical, which is hilarious.
That's funny.
Were named. And in this Aladdin musical, there's this song called Proud of Your Boy. And we're actually named after an Aladdin musical, one of the songs in the Aladdin musical.
A Disney musical.
Yeah. and then he started asking him, okay, what are the tenets of this organization? And he got like pro-America, pro-Constitution tenets, and he put them together. He just spit them out. And then the same thing with the degrees. Oh, how many degrees do you have? We have 4 degrees. Like, everything was created within a 15-minute time span.
As a goof.
But it wasn't supposed to go. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to go past that one night. Well, those 10 guys, and I'm gonna quote you numbers before the debate. We were mentioning the debate, but those 10 guys turned into 22,000 guys worldwide. 12,000 of those here in the United States. So it's not much of a joke anymore. From the outside looking in, we're a non-story. We're a really boring group. There's nothing really to report on. We're a group of guys that get together once a month to get out of the house to drink a beer with the boys. There's some of us that are activists like myself that have lost everything to do this. I actually am an activist now 24 hours a day. We are not an anti-government group by any means necessary, which some of these people have put us in that category. We're for minimal government. We're big supporters of our police officers. Everywhere we go, we call them before. This includes the New York Police Department. We call them before we go somewhere. We know that we're a hot commodity, but we understand that there has to be some level of cooperation because we know that Antifa and BLM do not cooperate with the police, and they want the police defunded. But we're a very misunderstood group.
Well, you guys had you had one member there, Jason Kessler, right? He organized the Unite the Right, who was removed from the group by McGinnis because he was making racist remarks publicly. So you have precedent. You have precedent that says we're not racist. You know, when people go after Trump and they say, well, you denounce this, well, you denounce that. He's denounced white supremacy, 50 or 60 times. You yourself have been quoted as saying, we don't care what color you are or what your background is. If you love America, we consider you a brother. So there is history here with your group that says the exact opposite. And there are a lot of like media folks and groups and reporters that use words like supremacist and racist and misogynist and neo-Nazi. And I say to you, what makes them wrong? How are all of these people wrong to label you guys the way they're labeling you?
I think they're all wrong. I think you did say something that's semi-right, though. You said supremacist. You didn't say white supremacist. You didn't say black supremacist. You said the word supremacist. And we're American supremacists. We think America is the best country in the world. But other than that, again, I think that the Democrats just need a boogeyman. They've failed to denounce Antifa and BLM groups, and they needed a finger. They needed to point a finger at somebody, and it's us. Anything we've seen it with our president. Our president actually has a platform to fight these things back, where we don't. So I'll give you a prime example of that. In your initial quote right now, you said that Jason Kessler was a member, and he wasn't.
He wasn't
somebody
a member.
That was prospecting. He was prospecting to become a member, and before even Gavin decided to denounce the guy, the chapter that he was prospecting for had already kicked him out for racist views. So even people that are looking for the truth, that are digging, there is some truth that gets clouded in there, but you'll never find the truth from Wikipedia. You'll never find the truth from like major mainstream outlets. I suggest to your viewers, talk to one of us and see exactly what is it that we feel, because at the end of the day, I feel like we're just conservatives. That's it. The most extreme view that I hold is I believe all gun laws are unconstitutional. But I don't care what who you are, what race you are, cultural background. I'll say it again, and I'll say it on your show right here. I denounce white supremacy. I denounce anti-Semitism. I denounce fascism. I denounce communism. I denounce Antifa. I denounce any other isms that is prejudice against people because of race, religion, or cultural backgrounds.
So, yeah, I think the problem is, and it's like any other large group, and I can speak specifically about the NYPD, is that you have a large group, you have 22,000 people. In the NYPD, there's about 32 or 33,000 members. And you're always going to have some bad actors. And those bad actors are going to make the rest of the group. And I've been calling out BLM for the last year, because it's really been dominant in the last year, is that when Antifa shows up to a BLM protest and they take it over and they're the bad actors and they're creating havoc, that the BLM has to be able to turn around and go, this is not us. They're not part of what we're doing. And even if a few of our people are part of that, it's not our core belief. It's not what we stand for. And you're just like our organization. Your organization is always going to have a couple of bad actors that are there for the wrong reason, and they're going to give the group a black eye. just like law enforcement. There's going to be guys that give us a black eye, men and women that give us a black eye, and you can't really lump everyone in together, or at least people shouldn't.
They shouldn't. And I mean, the premise of BLM, I think you would agree with me too. Police brutality is horrible.
Of course,
it's a horrible thing, and I think it's a just cause to protest. I think it is a just cause. But let's be honest, most of these guys aren't looking to just combat police brutality. They want total anarchy. They want to erase American history. They want to burn businesses down. They've burned a lot of businesses, African American owned businesses in Minneapolis. And
well, you guys have been very vocal about the the movements removing statues and erasing American history. Confederate generals. Listen, you wouldn't knock down the Holocaust Museum to erase that god awful segment of this world. That wasn't this country. That was the world. You wouldn't erase that because it's important to remember it. So to knock down these statues of Christopher Columbus and Robert E. Lee because they had a different view of what mainstream people had, you can't erase it. I'm not saying you need to honor it, but you need to remember it. And I think you guys have been very vocal about that.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree, and there's two reasons why I agree. One of them is for exactly what you said. Erasing history, no matter how you feel, is wrong. You get me? Two, monuments are a work of art, right? They're, at the end of the day, regardless of who it is it puts up there, it is a work of art, and it is supposed to make you feel a certain type of way. To some people, it makes you feel great, and other people, it makes you feel horrible, and it makes you want to take them down. I get that, but the truth is that they're there for those reasons. They're there to either make you feel good or make you feel bad about it, regardless of however you take it in. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be erased. It shouldn't be. We have to learn from our mistakes in the past. And in the story of slavery, yes, the United States was amongst many villains, but also it was the only hero in the story of slavery. It was the first to abolish it, and it set the precedent for the rest of the world. So that's something that we got to look at, and we got to look at our founders and the people that came before us and all the blood that was spilled in order to get to that place. We're not a perfect society. We should always want to do better, but there's wanting to do better and trying to destroy what we've created are two completely different things, and two things that that I am not going to just stand by idly and let happen. Mm-hmm. And my group won't either.
Well, you also have to be very careful because you are being treated differently. In 2019, you had a few of your members were arrested for assault in New York, assault case, fist fight with a couple of Antifa guys, which was prompted by one of the Antifa, and I read the article, that the Antifa guys actually threw a soda bottle at a couple of guys, mm-hmm. and a fist fight.
Those for the urine.
Yeah, an old school fist fight happened. The guys that lost, mm-hmm. they go to the hospital, and the guys that won go to jail. But here's the thing, though. You see video after video after video of quote unquote Antifa folk punching old men in the face carrying an American flag, and they're not charged with a bias crime. You had a couple of your members charged with a bias crime, sentenced to 4 years for assault. Just an assault. For punch. Today, if you punch someone in the face today, you're out of jail in 4 hours. You're back on the street able to punch someone else in the face. Because you know what? Sometimes someone needs to be punched in the face. It is what it is. But to get 4 years for a simple assault, it wasn't like, a baseball bat and someone was in a coma. It was a fist fight, and you lost.
Yep. And they didn't even go to the hospital. As a matter of fact, the DA and the governor, they didn't have the name of the victim, so they went to trial essentially without facing their accuser. And okay, well, let's say I have a bias, right? Let's say they weren't followed to their cars, right? Because that's what was happening. Let's say they weren't followed to their cars and they just wanted to beat up Antifa. As we're speaking right now, as we're having this podcast, I'm sure there's numerous fistfights happening in New York City.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you that those people will not get 4 years in prison. So when you say that we're targeted more than other people, I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you. But at the same token, I am going to tell you that, at least for me and for our individual members, because our members are individuals, for me that this fight is way too important. Imagine if Rosa Parks, when people told her not to go sit, and I don't want to compare myself to them because I'm not even worthy of the sandal on one of their feet, but I just want to compare the instances where, imagine Rosa Parks said, well, you know what, I don't want to cause any trouble, I'm not going to sit in the front of the bus.
Sure.
Or Martin Luther King said, hey, I'm not going to hold this march, there's going to be violence. And I live by an old British saying that says, who dares wins. And we're going to just continue to dare. We're going to do it as safely as possible. We're going to communicate with PD every chance that we get that we host one of these rallies. We're going to still continue to push legislation. We're going to still continue to run our guys for office. And, we're not going to, this is too important. This isn't about Antifa. It isn't about anything else. It's about the future of our country.
All right, so we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. There's a couple of things I just wanted to run by you, and I don't know if they're true or not. Like you said, you do your Wikipedia and you read articles and whatnot. But this is something that popped up that I thought was kind of funny, and I'd like to get your take on it. That originally the rule was that no member will masturbate, and then they changed it to read that no member shall masturbate more than once a month. And I'm like, really?
Yes.
I'd be kicked out on day one. All right, Worthy, you're in. And then, like, tomorrow, Worthy, you're out. Was that one of those, like, the day of, setting this up, it was a joke? Or do you guys really not like the self-pleasure? What's up with that?
Well, let me. I don't think I've ever admitted this on camera. I think if we followed that rule to the T, I don't think that I would have lasted too long. But yes, it is a joke. Another thing that they take way too freaking seriously.
Cargo shorts.
They say that
No cargo shorts.
So the no cargo shorts. Actually, I'm one of the ones that hold that rule a little bit more seriously than other people, or the flip flops.
Oh, that's funny.
But our second degree rule, the whole beat each other's ass, 5 guys beat you until you say 5 breakfast cereals. I mean, we're not hitting you. This is not like a gang beating where we're like beating you so we can break a rib.
Fruit Loops in, Fruit Loops out, right?
Yeah. Don't say the same cereal twice. But
that's funny.
We definitely we don't take ourselves seriously. Like, the media takes us more seriously than we actually are. So those rules are just funny. We stole. So something that we say to each other is uhuru, and we hold our fists up like this. And we stole that. We stole that from a black socialist movement that's based out of Tampa. The gentleman's gay too, so he's all levels of oppressed. Mm-hmm. And he complains about everything, so we decided to steal one of his slogans. And uhuru means freedom in Swahili. So everything that we do is really a joke. I think if we really focus on the fun of our organization and the brotherhood. So we have fun with it. We're really good. You know what? The reason why I think we're hated so much is we're really, really good at making fun of people. Making fun of people until their heads explode.
Yeah, me too.
And, yeah.
It's one of my strengths.
I just don't
my wife hates me, but it's one of my strengths.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I went to New York. Perfect example. I went to New York and I had a Latinos for Trump event right there in front of Trump Tower. And it was like, at the end, I told people not to come. So there was a very small amount of us. So it was like 15. I knew that they were going to focus. I knew that they were going to focus on how many people were able to get out. But then the same night, we went and we plastered 30 banners around the city. And we knew how your governor would react. And your governor put out a press release about our banners, which was making fun of him. We're equating Cuomo to Fredo again.
Oh, I love that. I guess
those two brothers really hate that.
Yeah, Chris hates that. Another really funny piece that I read was that at one point McGinnis had suggested that members wear Fred Perry polo shirts. And then the CEO there, John Flynn, denounced affiliation and asked the group not to wear their clothing. And they went so far as to announce that they'll no longer sell their clothing in the U.S. until all association with the group has ended. And I think that's hysterical. That's like the law enforcement community getting together and naming Ben and Jerry's as the ice cream of your Blue Lives Matter ice cream, right? They would just kill them to know that their product was being, a part of something that they didn't agree with. So the Fred Perry, is there some truth to the Fred Perry polo shirt story? Because I love it.
Yeah, it actually goes beyond that.
Oh boy.
So beyond the Fred Perry polo thing, after they announced that they weren't selling one of their best-selling shirts, which was the black and yellow shirt, here in the United States, they said that they were going to sell it elsewhere, but not in the United States. So we took advantage of that, and were able to manipulate them by their own emotions. So we got our guys in the UK, and we got our guys in the UK to take pictures of shipping boxes, and the UK guys posted on their social media and said, well, we're going to start shipping to our good old boys in the U.S. We're going to start shipping these black and yellow Fred Perrys. And we forced them to make another statement, and hook, line, and sinker. That was never a thing. The boxes, it was just boxes of, I forgot what. We never sent Fred Perrys from the UK to the United States, but they had to denounce it. We're playing them like fiddles.
That's hysterical.
We figured out that we don't really have to go to rallies. We could just, now we're at this stage where the Proud Boys can stay home and say, hey, we're going to go to Portland. We get Portland police to do their job. Not Portland. Mayor restricts the Portland Police Department from doing their jobs, and we get the Portland mayor to lift those restrictions. As a matter of fact, the mayor of Portland decided to put a ban on tear gas for rioters, right?
No, only for violent protesters.
Yeah, for violent protesters. But when I decided to come into town, suddenly they reversed that. I don't know if you saw that. They reversed. So they're like, hey, tear gas is bad, but you know who it's really good for? Conservatives that are coming to town. So I wasn't even worried about it. I'm like, okay, well, you guys are definitely not using tear gas on me, because I'm not pushing. I'm not. If a cop tells me, hey, get on the sidewalk, I stop whatever I'm doing. I'm getting on the sidewalk. So I knew the CS gas wasn't going to be used on me, but I find it hilarious that we're able to bend these liberals to our will just by putting out a simple statement. And it's awesome. It's awesome that we can do that, and we've a small group of guys have been so loud and have made so much noise that not only did they make an appearance in the first debate as the central topic above COVID, but that we can do things like that. I think it's awesome, and I'm really proud of my guys. I love my guys here. They're the best group of men. I think the best fraternity that the world's ever known. And we're just going to continue to do us.
I think Rachel has a question for you, Enrique.
So, Enrique, well, I thoroughly appreciate most of your views, and I could not appreciate your guys' support of law enforcement any more than I do. But there's a bit of an elephant in the room between you and I, and I have to ask, what is the little quasi-misogynist view you guys have going about, no women? Because as a self-proclaimed badass,
she's badass.
I'm a little insulted that, if I wanted to get down with your get down, I would be separated.
Well, that's also a misconception that we're misogynist. We have a men's group and we have a women's group. And we don't bar women from joining us at any of these events. And really the rule, the men thing is for our meets. The men only meets is only for our once a month meets. But that doesn't stop you. Actually, a good friend of mine, her name's Tara LaRosa. She's an MMA fighter. I don't know if you know who she is. She's gone on the streets with us, and she's helped out a lot. So But just to touch on the misogynist thing, a lot of people hit us up because we're like, oh, well, you think that women are under you. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Under who?
I think,
Fair.
Just not behind you.
but I think as long as she's not behind me,
Exactly.
we're not using that pegging word. We're good. We're golden.
Oh, that's funny.
But are you still there? Do you still got my?
No,
video?
we're
Yep, we're here.
We're here. We're here.
We didn't hang up on you yet.
Oh, my.
We can't wait to hear
my
more.
laptop just died, so now you just got my audio.
All right, we just do audio. You're not that good looking to watch anyway, bro. It's all right. We just need your voice.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Oh man, you guys are fake me. So another thing that we put women. I feel like we put women above us. So, women, if they decide on their own, right? Women can have their own careers. We don't care about that. But the moment that a woman decides on her own will, she says, "Fuck this shit. I want to bake cookies all day. I'm just tired of working." She tells you that by her own free will. You know whose job it is to step it up and be a slave to that woman for anything, any of her needs?
Yours.
It's your job as a man to step it up.
I like cookies.
I like cookies.
You shouldn't complain. I like cookies too. So you better make sure that she has all the pans. You better make sure she has the cookie dough. You better make sure that woman is treated like a princess when she's home and she doesn't need anything.
Absolutely.
But what about on the battlefield next to you?
Amen.
You feel she has no place
They
there?
can-
I've seen their rallies. There's women at those rallies.
You shush. I'm
There's
asking
women
him a
at those
question.
rallies. No bullshit. I've seen women at those rallies.
Yeah, take a look at just Google Tara LaRosa Proud Boys, and you will see mayhem.
So they have their own.
Tara is
They have their own group. Do they have their own name? Would they be the Proud Girls?
Proud bitches.
yes, they have exactly. Not proud bitches, but they do have their own group. As far as structure goes, they've chosen to be a little bit more quiet. But yes, they are around. You could follow them on Parler. They're on there now. But we've never. The only thing that we bar women from is our main meetings. That's once a month. But other than that, we have co-ed meets. We bring them to rallies. We put them in the organization chats. We put them in the planning chats. Just to get different perspectives on things. And again, most of my planning when I do things, I do include some women in the planning. So it's not like we exclude them and we think women are less
So
or below us.
if I'm picking up all of this correctly, it would be your
Mhm.
standard college fraternity versus sorority.
Yes, exactly.
Which is
And
fine
they
because
run
I mean,
it-
No, I appreciate. I
you
absolutely
have
appreciate
you
that.
have bowling leagues where it's men only and
No,
women only.
no,
you have
I
the Girl
totally
Scouts and the Boy
appreciate that.
Scouts. Like, hey, there's some things that I know me personally. There's some things I'd rather do with the guys than I'd rather do with my wife and their wives.
No, absolutely.
And kicking the balls out of Antifa is one of them. Like, I'd rather just kick the shit out of them by myself with my friends. I'm sorry.
I'm
I
glad you clarified that, Tommy.
No, but I am your friend. And are you saying that you wouldn't want me next to you during that fight?
No, but underneath me, like
I just have to.
Enrique
I have
said.
to bring my bitches. I have to bring the
underneath.
proud bitches. Is what you're saying.
I've seen her
No.
in action. You want her?
But
next to you.
She's a warrior.
I
She's a warrior.
appreciate that explanation. I feel like there's a lot of merit behind that, and
Yeah.
I feel like having girl time and guy time
Absolutely.
is super valid.
It
and
really is. But that's in everything, though. Like my wife, I'll send her off to a spa weekend with her girlfriends. Like
Right,
they
right.
need your time, but I also
Yeah.
get to go upstate to my cabin with the boys and shoot shit and drink too much beer.
Yeah, but you're
So-
not married to a woman who wants to
Listen.
shoot shit.
You're right. I'm not. And if she
Yeah.
wanted
So-
to, I
Listen,
would make sure she got that time too.
Because look at there's a lot of badass women in law enforcement that
Absolutely.
don't want to go to the spa.
I don't want to hang
Clearly-
out with any chick that can bench press more than I can.
Clearly, you
Right?
don't want to go to the spa, but there's, but we want to go shoot shit. So to be
Yeah.
excluded
It's
from
not,
a
though.
group
Yeah.
like
That was a good
just
explanation
due to
to say-
gender, but I do. I appreciate the way he explained it, and he got my approval on that.
So Enrique, I'm
And
certain.
another thing,
Sorry.
one more thing.
Yep.
I enjoy my lady time. I enjoy my woman time more than I enjoy my man time. Okay?
Shocking.
There's
So
no
you're
doubt
a
about-
regular boy, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So,
So we're certain that that you and your group are being closely monitored by some 3-letter government agencies, probably listening to us right now. What's your message to them? Like, if you could sit at a table in front of these heads of, what would your message be to them?
my message would be, I mean, if they're infiltrated in our chats, I guarantee you that
They're listening.
they already see us. Yeah, and I'm saying, like, in our personal chats, like the Proud Boy chats, they would definitely not see anything threatening about us. But if I were able to sit down with them, I'd explain everything, and I'd be very open. I'm an open book, dude. I don't hide anything. I take that word proud very literally, and there's no reason to hide my views. White pride groups, for example, like you said, there's nothing wrong with being prideful of whoever you are. That's just not us. There's other groups for that. You really can't join the Proud Boys. But they're very prideful of things. You're like, hey, what do you think about black and brown people? Well, I don't like them. And that's fine with me, but, they're open about their views. There's no reason for us not to be open about our views because it's only going to hurt us. And, like, imagine that we were something that we're not, and there's this heavy marketing on hiding what we are. And somebody actually joins because they see, like, that marketing strategy of hiding. Like, there'd be so many more members that are coming out of the woodwork, and they're like, hey, these guys are closet racists. And those people just don't exist, dude. They just don't.
Well, when you see the videos and the photos, and yourself, you're not white. To see your membership, you see your membership. I think about 2 weeks ago there was a guy in, like, South Carolina who was accused, and I don't even know if he was I don't think he was a Proud Boy, but he was part of another group and was labeled as a racist because of his views. And then he posted photos of him in the kitchen with his black wife and his 2 black children. And it's like, well, just because I'm part of, look, you can't be a member of, say, the KKK and be married. You can't be a white member of the KKK and be married to a black person. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah, you can't race mix.
You can't.
That's a rule.
You just can't do it. So to say, hey, you're labeling us as this. Well, look at our events. You label us as that. Look at our events. We're not that. So you're gonna have a tough time convincing folks, but you just keep doing what you're doing.
We go through so much of this humanizing the badge, right? Humanize the badge. They're trying to make humans out of all of us, as if we're already not human.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that what the TikToks are about?
Oh, it's
and the lip sync challenges.
I can't with any of it.
Please, Jesus.
Oh, that's what we need. We need,
But-
we need
Jesus.
a Proud Boy TikTok lip sync.
wait,
No, Enrique, I swear to God, do not do a Proud Boy TikTok challenge. I
But
swear to God.
we're gonna have a humanizing the Proud Boy moment right now, and I need to know, Enrique, like, when people call you a white supremacist, being a black Cuban, how does that actually make you feel?
It makes me ecstatic. It makes me happy when they do that.
Because they're so ignorant.
Okay, that was.
Because they're showing their ignorance.
Because that was not what I was expecting you to say.
Because they're displaying their ignorance magnified by 1,000%.
Agreed. But go ahead.
If I let it give me power, right? If I let it take power over me, where I let it make me angry, that's exactly what they want. They want me to be angry.
Absolutely.
But instead, it makes me ecstatic. It makes me happy because then people start realizing the truth. When they see my name, right? So I don't even have a fucking white name, right? They're like, oh, well, this Enrique Tarrio is a white supremacist. Like, the Huffington Post just posted about, like, 2-3 days ago. And they're like, the person that's undecided, right, on how they feel about us, they're like, wait, there's something more to this story because this guy's name's not white, right? It actually sounds a little African. And they go ahead and they research it, and then they see the lies, and they start seeing the truth, and they might join us. So they actually multiply. When I say multiply more of us, I don't mean Proud Boys. I mean multiply more people that are awake to the truth. So it does make me happy. It does make me extremely happy when somebody does that. It's two things. There's another thing why it makes me happy is because I'm being effective, right? If I'm making them hate me that much that they're calling me something that is so wrong, it shows me that I'm getting to them and I'm filling them with anger and with hate. And there's nothing but love from me. You'll never see me. I had a giant Twitter account. I was a blue check. I had 85,000 followers, and I was never even suspended for my words, right? Because I don't say stupid shit. I don't joke around with some stuff. I love joking around with the guys, but there's just some things I just don't want to joke around about, and it makes me happy. It just put simply, it just makes me happy because I'm not going to let them get the best of me.
No, but it's a good attitude to have. Enrique, thank you so much for calling in. Hopefully we cleared some of the smoke, some of the air about the organization. I hope that you found this to be a positive piece with us, and we gave you the space to just kind of share with us and our listeners what you guys are about. I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully we don't read about you in the papers and the FBI files, but I guess time will tell, right?
Time will tell.
All right, brother.
Let's see what happens.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for chiming in. Hey, you have a good night, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, God bless.
Thanks, Enrique.
Thank you.
God bless.
All right, we're not going to go to break, right? We're going to go right to Tolik. All right, so guys, this show isn't just about law enforcement. It's not about Line of Duty Cigars, www.lineofdutycigars.com. It's not just about that. We also support organizations that do good things. Right? It's simple as that. And as a community, we're being attacked from all angles. So who's coming in? Oh, Holly. I got nothing. I don't even get ice. Thank you, sweetie. You're the best.
I rock.
So we like to show support for the individuals and the companies that support us, and that's why we have sitting with us is the founder and managing director of Altronite, Tolik Bortz. Tolik, thank you for coming in. Thanks for hanging out for that first piece. I know it wasn't exactly what you were here for, but hopefully that it opened your eyes to what we do and how this isn't just a police show, but it's also just kind of doing the right thing.
No, that was unbelievably eye-opening, and thank you so much for having me on. It's genuinely a pleasure. So
you have a company, Altronite. You've got 20 years in the medical medical field.
Yes, sir.
Healthcare industry.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Holly. You're the best. But your company specifically deals with children with autism. Correct.
So I work for a company that supports children with autistic spectrums. It's a private entity. I moved up to Albany, to New York, to work for the New York State Department of Health. But I just felt that a little more hands-on in the healthcare industry would be a little more fulfilling and rewarding.
So you moved from Brooklyn to go to Albany for that job?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Yeah.
That's a bit of culture shock, Brooklyn to Albany.
Oh yeah, I mean, huge change. I moved up there to take on a new position in regards to my profession, but I found it a little more secluded, a little more quiet, a little more humbling. Coming from a big city and such a vast variety of things going on in Brooklyn, New York, I found Albany a little more suburban and quiet. So
relaxing.
A place to raise a family. I mean, and the cost, not to mention the cost of living. So, I mean, 4th floor condo for the same price as a 5-bedroom house with a backyard where a dog can spread his wings and run around, and kids in the backyard, a pool with a deck, so on and so forth. I was instantly sold.
So your company does a lot of work with sports, arts, and music.
Correct.
For children with autism.
Correct.
To kind of calm them.
So basically how we started out, so when the pandemic hit us, we decided to start donating face masks such as these, but we were a little more unique. So what we did was we took our own T-shirts and jerseys and started cultivating into face masks. selling to the fans and raising the funds to donate to hospitals, essential employees, and other not-for-profit organizations. It took off a little bit because we were mainly targeting the New York Rangers and sports masks to the point where
Go Rangers.
Yes, 100%.
So are you guys making masks out of Rangers jerseys, out of players' jerseys?
Actual jerseys. So
No way.
Yeah, if
That's
you go,
cool.
If you go on our website, these are actually so far unique and special and handmade that ex-NHLers took some notice to the point where we were blessed and humbled enough to have the opportunity to donate to the New York Rangers team before they flew out to the qualifying rounds of the playoffs. Which, I mean, if you're a fan, right, of your team, and all your years you go to the games and you want their autographs or your pictures or the puck thrown to you, and here we are being provided with an opportunity to give something back, whatever it may be. We send them a letter to read out loud. But here we are cultivating our own face masks. We're put in touch with an individual. Her name is Sue Beneroff. God bless her. She put us in touch with a mutual friend with the New York Rangers organization. And we custom made each individual player's number on the side of the masks. And they flew out and they wore these masks, which were displayed on TV, on social media.
That's
and
great.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
And we weren't even a full-on company yet. We were just a team of mask cultivators, mask makers. So at the time, we were applying through the New Jersey State and with the federal government to apply for the not-for-profit. And probably within a day's notice, we got accepted and we were registered as a not-for-profit organization.
So where do your profits go? So if you're a non-for-profit, so every time someone buys a mask, where does that? I mean, obviously there's operating cost. So at
Absolutely.
the end of all the operating costs, there's something left over at the end of the quarter. Where does that go?
So we cover all the overhead expenses, so on and so forth. So right now, within the first year or 3-year plan that I call, what we wanted to do was team up with other not-for-profit organizations. First and foremost, we partnered up with Adam Graves' foundation. It's called Smile Zone. What they do is they model and remold, so to speak, pediatric centers and hospital settings for children.
Yeah, they redecorate, right? They make them like fully interactive and
Absolutely.
keep the kids engaged while they're spending. Because you potentially could be. I was actually in the children's hospital last week with my daughter for a day and a half, but they provide that space to keep them occupied, and it's a Smile Zone. I think
exactly
their
what
motto
it
is something like no, every child should smile, or something along those lines, right?
That's exactly what it is. The brightness, the colorful aspects of the walls, the murals, even iPads, things of that nature. So while a parent is sitting there in the waiting room, so the child can be in a more relaxed state of mind. So we're helping Adam raise funds through that not-for-profit as well. We've also teamed up with the Mustache Classic. It's through the Movember. It's the Men's Cancer and Suicide Prevention Program. So
T next year he started it 3 years ago, and he just didn't stop.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So
Pretty much.
So, at the time being, we're raising funds to network and partner up with other organizations, small businesses, podcasters such as yourself. So we're raising funds to give right back into the community. So right now, at the moment, what we're raising funds for is I take personal growth from this. I immigrated to this country. I was 8 years old. My parents couldn't afford a hockey stick, a pair of pads, gloves, anything for me to participate in a program.
Hockey is a super expensive sport.
Oh my God! You know what? You guys understand football as well. So it's any sport, but right now, since
You should try water polo. Teaching those horses how to swim. Oh my God, very expensive.
I live by Saratoga.
I could do it.
and that's right there.
I'm a rugby guy, so
Yeah. So we're raising money for registration cost fees for children that aren't fortunate enough to raise their own, to join travel league teams or home teams, and also collecting secondhand sports equipment like hockey equipment, football equipment, any sport. But since we're hockey derived and associated within these groups and these members,
Is that through Ultranite?
that is through ultranite.com. So we actually, about a month ago or so, we actually launched our website where we integrated all of the things we do. It is Ultranite. It's derived from the word altruist. It's an individual unselfishly concerned for the welfare of others.
So ultranite.com, is that the website?
ALTRUNITE. So starting from face masks, selling to fans, and delivering donation masks and food and clothing drives to hospitals, EMS stations, and fire
awesome.
stations.
That's awesome.
We've grown more than just face masks. While it was a pretty cool product to get into the community, we actually formed a team where we do so much more than just medical equipment and PPE and face masks. So it was a bittersweet product. We all want it to go away. We all want this mask to stop,
Facts.
the pandemic to stop, but to protect and to help our fans and players to come back eventually to the stadium healthy and alive, that was our prerogative. That's what we wanted to do. We've been moderately successful. I want to be humble because we got so much more work.
So can people
to go.
can people go to the Ultranite website and just make a straight up donation without purchasing? Like if they say, you know what, I want to give you $100. I have 6,000 masks. I don't need masks. Can they donate on your website as
We
well?
absolutely encourage our followers or anyone that listens to us on any platform to absolutely $5 to every dollar helps. We're
course.
a new organization.
Of course.
100% of any product or service goes directly into the not-for-profit. So absolutely, I would encourage anyone to help us out. We're a new entity. We're a new not-for-profit. We have high hopes, dreams, and aspirations. We want to be on the forefront of actually giving back to the children. The objective here is to take a child with no focus, take him, whether it's off the streets or out of the house, and get him involved within a program, whether it's performing arts, sports, or dance, music, anything of that nature, and get busy with their life to be a productive counterpart within the society.
So I think all of us are waiting for the days where, Corona gets back on a plane and goes back to where she came from.
China.
And-
China.
Why is it a she?
Okay.
China.
Why is it a she?
China.
Because she's a bitch. I want to know what's your next phase. Once masks aren't necessary anymore, where do you guys want to be? Where are you going from here?
We have a 5-year plan. We drew it out. We want to stay. We want to stay within the forefront of giving back to our communities through these programs, through sports and performing arts.
What's your actual community base? Where are we talking?
It's derived from sports. I mean, I would say 95% of our followers are sports or hockey related. We want to be mainly with sports.
So geographical location matter or doesn't matter?
Absolutely not. So these face masks, how we built this community was through the New York Rangers affiliation or the group. We've sent these masks out to Russia, Italy, Great Britain, all over the country.
Right, because their fan base is everywhere, right?
They're everywhere. You would be surprisingly shocked where these fans dwell, whether they move there or they grew up there. So it was really, really amazing to see where these orders were shipped to. We were absolutely ecstatic to be just a part of it, just to begin with. It was really, really, really humbling to know that we can.
Well, to start it
ship
like
on a mask.
like any small business, start in the basement, and all of a sudden, boom, it takes off. You're like, wow, we might be onto something.
Yeah,
and
you're
then
you're
and then
5 floors up.
and then you see the returns. You see the
Yes.
returns, like, wow, look what's coming in, and look who we can help.
Yeah,
Like,
so we're not naive, right? We understand these masks will go away. So while it was the primary focus to protect individuals and to help them out and to send them these masks, whether it's whatever they may have thought, whether it's for protective purposes or decorative, or it's a fashion statement. It could be both. and
But
that is both.
honestly, I don't
That's
think
team-
it's, I
that's
don't-
team
I don't-
pride right
But I don't
there.
think it's going away. So if tomorrow they come up with a out and out cure and a what's the word
Vaccine.
Vaccine?
Yeah, vaccine.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's the bourbon. If they come up with a cure or vaccine tomorrow, we will still be in the
Yeah,
age of
absolutely,
mask
yeah.
for a year or
It's
two.
going to be a
Absolutely.
while.
I mean,
I think even further than that.
yeah,
I think
in
further than
China
that.
they wear them all the time. They've been wearing it for 20 years in China.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
why when I only really see it in Manhattan was that you see older generation Chinese people
Sure.
or Asian people wearing masks. And I remember years ago going, how are they wearing a mask for? The same reason they're wearing the umbrella. They're walking around with the umbrella because of the sun.
Yeah, but
Like-
their skin is amazing.
Incredible.
Let me ask you this: You said
the
you
Chinese
make a mask
virus.
out of Rangers
Chinese
jerseys. What
virus.
was the idea of making them out of the jerseys as opposed to just making them maybe with the Rangers logo on it and stuff like that? And who came up with that idea and what was the motivation behind
Wonderful question. So, the way it started when the pandemic hit, right? You would have went to Amazon, eBay, anywhere. Masks were nowhere. People were making masks at home.
Sure.
You couldn't find PM 2.5 filters. You couldn't find KN95 masks, or you couldn't find them.
They
whether
were
they're-
cutting them out of socks.
Right. Masks were made out of generally anything.
Whatever.
So, us being Ranger fans, we have these giveaway shirts that they were giving out at Madison Square Garden. My friend Vlad Nevronsky and his wife, which is a Yulia, professional seamstress out of Brooklyn, Italy trained out of Vienna, took his own T-shirts out of his closet collection. We wanted to be a little more unique. So we don't, keep this in mind, we do not heat press or screen print any licensed product because we want it to be stay on a fair road, right?
And it's
So
illegal.
correct. So think of it as like a Michaels or Joann's. You would go in there, you buy the fabric. It's an already licensed product. We would simply cut out the logos or the names or the numbers
And stitch them on.
and repurpose a product and cultivate it into a face mask. That was the idea behind. Not only that, we wanted to be in a good stance with NHL or the New York
Whoever.
Rangers
Yeah,
organization.
whatever
we wanted
organization, correct.
we wanted to stay on the fair road. So repurposing a product was our main objective. It took off because it's hand cut out and stitched. Nothing is screen printed.
How
So
many people do you have actually doing that? How many people run that operation?
myself,
Oh,
the
boy.
seamstress, and my friend Vlad.
God
So
bless
it's
you,
That's
man.
that's a lot of work for
Oh,
3
man.
people.
three
Wow.
individuals. While we've grown into a team of maybe 6 or 9 people that help us promote, do PR. PR, while as shallow as this may sound for a non-for-profit, while we donate and make these masks, PR work. We want to. What is this all about? You guys invited me. Thank you. It's
course,
about
of
creating
course.
awareness.
Absolutely.
Right.
So PR work. We want to be on the forefront in terms of being seen and heard. That's what it's all about.
You want to grow because at the end of the day, it helps your organization to help further more people.
Well, Rachel actually made a fortune of making masks out of her own panties on eBay. Oh, she made a fortune.
All right.
They would probably
so
sell.
now that your word is out. So
Change the subject.
So now that
Thank
your
you
word-
for your vote of confidence, by the way. I appreciate you.
I'm trying to change the subject.
She made
here.
hundreds.
So now that the word is out, like, and this may make it a little busier for you. How are you going to like handle if this podcast goes and let's just say 1,000 people, 2,000 people want to get your product? Like,
Right.
how do they go about it?
It came to the point where, so for example, so this project that we needed to do with the Rangers mask, right? Each and every single number was cut out by hand. So it took us about 28 hours to complete 33 masks.
Oh, my
right?
Lord.
Each mask was cut out of an actual jersey, and like he asked, why shirts and jerseys? Because it was unique. I didn't see jerseys anywhere. But the way we were able to do, and I'll get back to your answer, of course.
Yeah.
But the way we were able to do this when we launched these social media platforms, a lot of these we ran out of shirts the first week out of our first 20 shirts, which a lot of our team members donated.
Wait, I hate to cut you off. How many masks do you get out of each shirt?
Minimal, because it's mostly the logos and the numbers.
Right,
and
and the
letters.
number, right? And
Correct.
there's only so many
And
numbers
there's
on a
only
jersey.
So many, right? So we had to play around with the designs, which at some aspects we were successful. So we were running low. We couldn't go on anymore. We were in the social media groups. Our fans took it upon themselves to start donating and shipping us shirts and jerseys by the dozens at times.
Oh, that's
Oh,
amazing.
that's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's
Could you imagine? So
freaking
They
awesome.
paid hundreds of dollars for those jerseys and
whether
they sent them
they
to
were
you.
in their
Yeah,
closets
so-
or they were buying them. I mean, to have someone ship a jersey to you,
Right.
to continue to see what you're doing,
Yeah.
That's-
mind blown and humbling. It was where I was having goosebumps as
That's
they were
awesome.
wring it. Type
Listen, I'm having goosebumps now. I got
That's
I got
great.
nothing to do with
That's
it.
by the
awesome.
dozens.
Yeah,
We were
absolutely.
opening up boxes, seeing $28.80 on boxes for having to give away your apparel
to ship them.
and then to ship to us.
But that's
to create it.
that's humanity. That is what this
That's-
country is based on,
We
and
want
that is
to
who we
show
are.
a message to pay forward to see that there is a wonderful community, the New York Rangers community, the sports community. There are good communities out there that want to help.
But there's got to be other teams that you can, as you grow, to be like,
Right,
no.
my
Think about
my
every
question-
sport.
No.
They are.
No.
I'm glad that you brought that up.
Ranger
Mrs.
No.
I mean, have you guys thought about maybe expanding to or
Other sports,
other
other teams?
sports, other,
Expanding to
basketball,
anyone but
football?
the Islanders and the
Listen,
Devils.
you know,
Expanding
you know.
to anyone but the Islanders and the Devils.
I'm going to answer all your questions.
Bam.
Wait.
Wait, can you get any of that in?
One at a
Come
time.
on
One at
now.
a time.
Way ahead of you, and I'll answer all your question with one. We've done every single team in almost every single sport at any time. So obviously, New York Rangers derived affiliated with. We've had requests almost. I counted. I think 26 states. Obviously, there aren't some. We didn't do much college. We had fans requesting us, the Islanders, the Giants, the Jets. If you go on alternate.com, ALTRUNITE.com,
Alternate.
alternate.com, you will see Giants, Jets, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Islanders. You can request any mask. If I can't find a T-shirt or I can't buy it, you can send
you
it
should-
and we will cultivate
You
any
should
mask.
not have to buy. There got to be people that just want to love.
There are.
Yeah,
They
I
gotta
feel like.
love it.
Hey,
Give.
listen,
There
I
are.
would-
Is
I'll
there
tell-
is there a mailing address on your website that if people logged on to your website, they could see an address where they could mail maybe some sports gear that they may or may not use anymore?
You can contact us. We created a request a mask tab just for that purpose.
Wow.
Yeah, like say, sort of like you send us one shirt, we'll make you one mask and give it to you, and then we'll cultivate the
Now-
rest out of that.
Right.
I
And
didn't
we'll
want to
sell
put you
those
guys
for-
on the spot before I
No,
came here.
not
but
at all.
No, we want
No,
to
that's
know.
what-
That's
We
why.
want,
That's why you're here, man.
Listen,
We want everyone listening to know.
I don't watch football anymore. Fuck the NFL. So I've probably got
Word.
about close to $1,000 in football jerseys at home that, you know, if I can donate for a cause like that, then absolutely, you know.
Where I
Yeah,
thank
but they're
you
all
so-
size medium. Who has a medium?
And I
Bro.
thank you so much.
Husky boys, bro. Husky boys.
We can
Listen, the last I heard, it was
Boys
extra
medium.
small, but that's
the
the last I
boys
heard.
medium.
we can use
I like
those.
'em right underneath the nipple.
That's just his jockstrap.
We
It's
can
extra
use
small.
we can use those logos in that material, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. What I was gonna say is, I would take a shirt with your company logo, and I would love to gift back to you. I mean, masks aren't only winter's coming up. A mask will protect you from winter wind is
Right.
coming.
Show that mask up. Put it up on the camera.
Yeah,
Let
put
them
it up,
see.
put it
Put it
up,
up.
right there, right there, camera
Let's
right there,
see
put it
it.
right there,
Right.
put it right there, show
Right
it up
there,
right there in the
baby.
front. There you go.
So good.
So
Very cool.
You can see each and every single letter is stitched, cut out.
You're handsome both with the mask and without the mask. by the
Way more handsome with the mask, though. I'm just saying.
So it's double layered from the shirt as well as a filter inside.
Oh, that's
So technically-
dynamite.
And we offer now as a complimentary a pouch that you can keep in the car so you have to dirty the mask, and a PM 2.5 filter complimentary. So
Wow.
it's very, very unique. So
And this is all nonprofit. Like you're
Everything-
doing all this work. You're not making a dime. You're raising money
within
for
the first 3 years,
the
I don't want to take
charities.
salary. I don't want to take. I don't want to
Dude,
take
that's
a
so
dollar.
commendable. It really is.
It's masks, but again, we're taking monetary funds for the children's registration cost fees, sports equipment, so that donation tab within our site is not only for masks. It's to raise funds with to affiliate ourselves with other not-for-profits to give back to small businesses. We've donated masks to NYPD precincts, food drives. So coming here was very, very important to me. I've stumbled upon it, and I'll be honest, by mistake. I was searching up
That's how most people find us.
the word blue, obviously True Blue New York Rangers. I come across it and I messaged it. I was like, wow, this is.
Yeah, I think it came through Mike Burke, BBO, Brothers
Yes,
for Others.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Don't
Mike.
worry, we
Mike
are
reached
all
out, and was
True
like,
Blue
"Dude, you got to
too."
have this guy on. He's on point."
Yeah.
So
So it was pretty cool, and it's funny how things work out sometimes. But like I said, again, from a product like this, we knew we had a platform because we built relationship with our fans and our team members to do something a little more. The dream and the focus was a not-for-profit. We put in the paperwork, we applied, we got approved. Now we have the opportunity to do more. My main focus is to get busy with kids, for them to be busy, for them to do something.
Sure.
So Altronite, ALTRUNITE ultranight.com. And we'll end this with there's a hockey game you were telling me about earlier, November 21st
Thank you
in
so
Danbury.
much. Yes. So
Um,
it's for the November. So it's for men's cancer and suicide.
The Movember.
Movember. It is a
Movember.
wonderful foundation. We were invited by Matt Capato to the Mustache Classic. It's in Danbury, Connecticut, November 21st. And we are providing them with masks as well and raising funds for that.
And that's at the Danbury Ice Arena
Danbury Ice Arena
on
in
November
Connecticut.
21st.
Yes, sir. Correct.
That's 4 days before my birthday. If anybody wants to buy me a
Nobody
cake or something.
cares.
All right, fine. Sure.
Maybe you guys should just take a ride to
Yeah.
Connecticut.
He
and
thinks
I'll
he's
actually
gonna
drive
turn
with
21.
us.
I'll be in a
He thinks
tree.
he's gonna
No,
turn
but Tolik, I
21.
have to say,
I'll be deer hunting.
I love the New York Rangers. I love your mission. I love everything you're about. Keep it up. It's awesome.
All right,
That means a
ultranight.com.
lot to me. Thank you.
The hockey game. How can they get tickets to the hockey? Is there a link or something you want to?
It is
How you can-
so our social
Or
media.
Movember?
You can find me through Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
You better
Give
ramble off those handles,
Hey,
boy.
Get those handles out quick, yeah.
Yeah, Tolik Boards, TOLIKBORTS, Tolik Boards, or simply Ultranite, ALTRUNITE. You can contact us through those various platforms. Just get in contact with us. You want to help out? You want to participate? You want to be an ambassador and help us out? Be a volunteer? We're looking to grow. You will hear our name a year or 2 or 3 or 5 years down the line. I promise you.
We don't
right,
doubt
I was
it.
just about to ask. They could donate money also, cash.
Yep.
$1, $5, $25,
Whatever it is.
$1,000.
Right. Every penny
You'll
helps.
take it.
Right.
We will take it, and I give you my word, we will put it into good use, and you will hear about it.
All right, guys. Ultranight.com.
Awesome, Tolik. Thank you.
ALTRUNITE.com.
No doubt, brother.
Jacob, take us out. We'll be back in what, 4?
Love you, man.
6.
Thank you so much.
I don't need 6 minutes.
I do.
6
All right.
minutes. 6 minutes. Don't
guys.
refresh your rhyme.
We have-
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FETTEAUTO.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at proudpig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue-friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers, such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths, regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose the law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com. And now, back to the Blue Room Podcast on the BlueBroadcastNetwork.com.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Sticking with us. The first hour was Power Pack there, and we're going to start the second half of the show here with Andrew Einstein sitting to my left with his service dog Gunner. I don't know if you guys can see Gunner, but Gunner's chilling out over here. Awesome.
My second favorite gunner.
Second favorite gunner. Camden Police Department.
Yeah.
Camden County Police
Camden
Department. Right here in New Jersey. Deployed twice.
Yes.
Right. Once to Iraq. Once to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. Same shithole. Like if you were in Afghanistan and then someone knocked you out and you woke up the next day in Iraq, or you wake up, is the sand the same? Is the job what you do is the same? Like
the sand's the same.
The sand's the same.
believe it or not, it's a beautiful country.
I know the work. I know the work is different. The work is different,
Yes,
obviously.
the work was different,
Your
yeah,
assignments
absolutely.
are, but is it kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, or?
It's where I was in Iraq was mostly desert. believe it or not, where it was in Afghanistan was desert and like lush farmland separated by one stretch of road. It ran north and south. To the west, you had lush farmland. To the east, right across the road, was just barren desert. It was kind of crazy. But, I mean, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful there.
Nice to vacation, but not so much if you're,
Yes.
if you're assigned.
maybe
You're
a long
assigned.
weekend.
You're assigned there.
Yeah, long weekend.
Maybe in a couple of years. He's just not ready for that yet, Chad.
I'll pass.
So 2011, Afghanistan, injured when a grenade was thrown into your compound that you were occupying, resulting in traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
Came home.
Mm-hmm.
What was that therapy like? What was that transition from there to here?
You know, it was a bit of a shock. I think the biggest thing was, life was simple, believe it or not. You know, you woke up, you went on patrols, you did your job, and you went back to sleep. Then all of a sudden, while we were there, I remember thinking about, we always talked about how we can't wait to have showers and running water and, be able to do our laundry. And
Did you not have showers and running water?
No.
So how'd that work out? How was the hygienal situation there?
Baby wipes, water bottles.
Lots of them.
But, when we came back, it was, I remember the day I came back, I got in the car, and I had my phone for the first time in 7 months, and it just was going off nonstop, and I just looked at it, and it was just, I threw it in the back to my best friend. I said, I don't want this.
Could you not have a phone there?
No, there's no service or anything like that.
Oh,
Plus,
it was a service
phones
issue. It wasn't like you couldn't have it, just there was just no cell.
Phones and bombs.
There weren't cell towers. Oh, sorry.
Fair.
Sorry, honey.
Don't want to dial the wrong number.
Well, these are things that we take for granted. Like, we don't understand when soldiers get, and I use the term soldiers because I don't know of a term that puts all of you guys in the same,
soldiers,
whether you're
the best
SEALs or
one,
you're Navy, Navy, Army, Marine, Air Force.
Absolutely.
Marines are different.
I understand, but I
Marines
use.
are-
I
Stop.
so I could,
You're really
I
gonna.
could say service. I could say
Back up.
service members, but I just say
Marines-
soldiers.
How about
Marines
just
are
heroes
different.
that protect our asses?
Yeah, but I just need one word for what I do. With the police, fire, and military. What I do
The perfect
for
word.
my
Soldier's
company.
The perfect word.
Yeah,
Frontline
I
defenders.
use soldiers.
Soldier's the perfect word.
Soldiers.
But we
All
don't realize that. But they go, we understand the dangers that you're encountering every single day, and that there's a lot of like the regular life stuff that you don't have, the comforts of home. But a simple thing like a cell phone,
It was
It must-
actually, the not having a cell phone was amazing.
very peaceful, right?
If we in Iraq was a little bit different. We also didn't have cell phones. We were on a really big base, and if you didn't want to be found,
Oh, for the bosses.
no one could find you. It's kind of nice. And
Unlike the police department, they have a GPS on everything. You're like,
Everything.
you're on the
Yeah.
corner of
Hey,
so and so.
come in,
Son of
you
a
know?
bitch.
But you know what? Not having that we're all connected to our cell phone. Everyone has a cell phone, and to go back to those 2 years, I would love to. Not be connected to the immediate world is kind of nice.
Or be a slave to it, really, because
I
we
mean,
are a
absolutely.
slave. We are a slave to this. We're a slave to like I said, answering the phone or what are you doing? The knock on the door. It's a very as peaceful as it can be. Just not worrying about that shit. I woke up in the morning, patrol. I had my 3 squares. I sat. I went to bed. I woke up and I did it again.
That's all we did.
But there's something to be said about what we have here, obviously as well.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
That,
look,
that
it
trade off.
It was
you
nice
went
coming
back a
home.
second time, so obviously.
Yeah, I needed the 2 deployments were 2 totally different things, right? In the Iraq, we didn't fight. We went to the end of the war. We got to see some of the the country and whatnot, and I love what I did over there. But I came back, kind of wondering, like, I want to be a Marine, right? And I didn't go in. I'm not an infantryman or anything like that. I went in as a fireman. Right, and I needed more, so I switched jobs, and I got my chance to go to Afghanistan, get on the front lines, and very quickly I realized what I thought I wanted, and I was like, oh man, I got a long 7 months here.
Oopsie.
Yeah, but
should have stayed a fireman.
with you should have, but with that,
That's what every
came-
cop says.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
But aside from the fighting, the job also got me to meet some amazing people. Walking some of these roads that have been I forget how old I was on 2011. Part of my injury is I lost my memory. I don't remember where I was because of that.
So you might be 90 right now and you wouldn't know it?
Yeah, I feel like I'm 90. I'm already deaf, so
What?
You look 25, Andrew. You look 25.
But thank you.
Just act like you're 12 like I do. You're fine.
Well, that's way too old. So
Your mustache is really nice, though.
He does have a killer stash.
November.
my
It's
wife's
November.
listening. They
November.
like the mustache, so it's here to stay. But just the historical part of where we were and how it related to 9/11 in this area, right? It was just it was amazing. It was humbling.
I think the booth is saying we have a call. Is that true? We don't have a call? We have a call for Andrew?
Oh boy.
All right, caller. You on the air? Hello.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Who's this?
Yes. Nick?
Nick. Andrew, do you know Nick?
Dirty boy Nick.
I don't know. Andrew's laughing like he knows you. What's up, Nick? Thanks for calling in, brother. What do you
His
got?
body language just changed real quick. What's up, Nick?
Hi, yes. Is this Asian looking for sexy first responders, looking for a good time in the sky?
I feel like we're in the middle of some inside joke right now.
I don't know. I think Nick's in Bangkok, not Iraq. That's what it sounds like.
That's really a funny accent. Come on, man. Let's give it
Come on,
up.
dude. Straight up.
So
Hey, how are you guys? It's Nick.
Nick, how are you, brother?
Good, yourself?
Awesome, man. You got a question for Andrew? You want to talk a little bit about his service or your service?
No, not so much about me. I've been in the Army 20-plus years, 4 deployments. But, no, I just met
God bless you, Nick.
Thank you for your service, man.
Thank you. No problem.
No problem. Yeah,
No,
okay.
no problem.
So the
right.
one thing, Nick,
He
while
said
you're
no
on the
s-
air, all right. So the one thing Nick does, Nick
you
takes
know
people
Nick.
Oh, you know
skydiving.
Nick.
Oh yes.
All right.
Nick and I have become very close up in the air. We jump out of planes, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah, I don't know
have,
why you jump out of a
Yeah,
perfectly good plane.
perfect.
Well,
It took
they're not
us-
perfectly good. If you got them, you're like, oh. So
If
one
you have
thing
to
he
jump out of
does
it.
is he's a tandem instructor, so he gets to strap people to him and out of the plane.
Yeah, straps what?
And straps people to him,
Oh,
and then
okay.
they jump.
Like
so,
piggyback or whatever it's called. What's that thing?
Tandem, yeah.
Can-
Like a baby
tandem.
Bjorn.
So he's the guy that doesn't
Like a
want to
baby,
die alone.
like a baby Bjorn.
yeah. So while I have him on the phone, we were talking before.
The what?
And
On the
here we
phone.
go, the phone. And what we'd like to do is challenge you guys all, because you've all served and
Oh,
you've
please.
all been
not-
wounded
not
in the
military.
line of duty, to come with us and jump out of an airplane.
I'm down.
Fuck that shit. I ain't
Won't be
doing
my
it.
first time.
The
I'm
thing
in.
about the thing
So-
about
so-
when
so
we ask is
Gerald's
it's
going,
hard
no
to say
way.
no. So
I'd rather sit on the ground and drink beers and watch you jump. Look
Did you say
at
no?
him go.
Listen, this is no lie. I think I would. You know what? I've been thinking about that for a long time. So Nick, you guys, listen. I may take you up on that.
I've actually thought about it too, and then when it comes like, oh, we're gonna make, I get shaky balls. They start to tingle a little bit when I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but, you know, for me, I go to that TV show on television, like airplane disasters, and shit. No fucking way. But
that's
so,
why you have a parachute on. It's fine.
It wouldn't be
Oh,
my first. It
sure.
wouldn't be my first rodeo.
So Nick, do you?
So
do
I'm
you-
down, but I honestly believe that the two boys closest to me in this world, my Swiss Cheese Club buddies, would never, ever be okay with me going alone. So I feel.
See, now I gotta go.
I think your two closest buddies are your dogs. Like, would they jump out of the plane?
Yes.
We have jump dogs.
Me and my wife have a little
You,
saying
you-
that.
you-
when,
hey Nick, you got. I heard you just say you got.
If anyone
you got
can
jump
convince-
dogs.
fuck me.
If
You got
anyone
jump
could
dogs?
convince your wife to be all right with it,
No, I was saying
It's-
me and my
it's
wife
Rachel.
have,
If
we
it
have a thing
helps.
where if I jump out of a plane, I'm going to live, and the
You'll live.
parachute doesn't go off. I'm
yeah.
still going to live, and
There's
I'm going to
another
be all
one.
fucked up.
There's
That's what's
two.
gonna happen.
So
Yeah.
Nick, do you do now like a civilian?
Gerald, you're in.
A civilian business.
Sorry,
that
Dalen.
You jump out of planes? with?
No. So I've done 20 years in the military. I do private investigations, and as a hobby, I picked up skydiving. And after doing it for so long, I ended up becoming an instructor. And I just do it as a hobby and actually as a coping method for stress and life in general.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, yeah.
Kathy Shapiro says Andrew Einstein is my favorite Marine.
Yeah, that's my mom.
Oh,
Hi, Mom.
All right, Mom. All
Yeah,
right.
thanks.
good
That's the-
message,
that's-
Mom.
That's the cutest thing
There's-
ever.
There's the good Jewish mother. She is.
All right, he's my third favorite Marine.
Hey Nick, so this stress relief thing, that's actually a really good idea for your mental health, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so when I first started, it was more like for the rush. You know, like I used to live for the rush. But believe it or not, after so long, now it's actually calming. It's just you, the sky, and no one else. You know. And then I read an interesting article years ago where it's funny, in skydiving, once you get to a drop zone, there's no political affiliation, sexual orientation. You're just a skydiver. I know it's nice.
No,
because,
you're right.
No,
You're
like,
right.
Refreshing.
Like,
No,
all
it's
joking
great.
aside, you know, like no one cares about your criminal background if you have one or your political. You know, you're just a skydiver, and it's so cool because you intermingle with people, and it's like a stress-free area where. Who cares about everything else? It's just about you and everyone else in the sky, and
Absolutely.
have a good time. That's
You
it.
find that spot. Like I'm a deer hunter, so when people that don't hunt will say to me, "So you sit in a tree all day long?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah." I get in that tree at like 5 o'clock in the morning,
You think
before
about
the sun
nothing
comes
else.
up,
You think
and I
about
think about
nothing.
nothing
Yeah.
else.
That's
I
the
just
sa-
sit there. The sun's hitting me in the face.
Yeah.
I'm watching animals, and then I sit there for 3 or 4 hours. If I see something, great. If I don't see something, just as great. I go in, I have lunch, I have a couple of beers, and I go back in and do the same thing for the afternoon. And it's so relaxing, and like because I don't think of anything else. I have a very busy life between
Yeah, when you
the
jump out of
wife
an
and-
airplane, though, the difference is.
Yeah, but it's over. It's over like this. It's over.
Well,
in,
not only that, if the parachute don't open, it's definitely over like that.
Well, they always say
And
the fall
Bambi's
doesn't hurt.
mom
It's that
doesn't
stop at the
die
ground.
during the process.
No,
So
she goes on the
feel-
barbecue. She goes on the
I
barbecue.
I
When
feel
you
like
hunt,
jump out of a
right?
plane, Tom.
When you hunt, you have to wear clothes, right? You've never done it in like a Speedo?
I can't answer that question.
Nick, what do we do when we jump out of planes?
Come on, Nick.
Clothing's optional.
Clothing is optional.
Come
Lord.
on, Rachel. Come on,
All right,
Rachel. Come on, Rachel. Give me something, man. You're gonna do that? Clothing optional?
Okay, look, the only people that would be upset about it would be you guys.
I wouldn't be upset.
I
I'd
wear
love to see
I
you.
wear clothing for other people's safety. That's all.
All right, Nick. Nick, we appreciate your time. Thanks for calling in. And obviously, you know Andrew, so
talking to you, brother.
supporting what we're doing here. Good stuff, man. Thank you so much,
Thanks for the call, Nick.
No problem, guys. Be safe.
See you, brother. Be safe.
Andrew. So you're in this compound. The grenade goes off, and you suffer traumatic brain injury (TBI). Lose hearing in one of your ears.
On my right side, yeah.
So do you continue your tour? Like I know at one point, I think you went to the hospital, you got yourself all squared away, and then you went back and finished your tour being deaf in one ear.
Yeah,
Could they have just said, "Hey, you know what? Go back to Jersey," or
They could have.
Are you from Jersey?
Born and
Go
raised.
back to Jersey. But no, I'm going to hang out here. I'm going to finish this.
I wanted to. The biggest thing was after I got hurt, I didn't know if mentally I could get back in it, right? And I needed to prove to myself that I could. And getting back with the guys and finishing out that tour was, probably not so great for my overall health, but the mental aspect, it was what I needed. Because now I'd be sitting back here years later going, I don't know. Like, what would happen if I went back? So.
What was the movie with Christian Bale? Was it Red Dawn? Red Dawn, where he played Dietrich so and so behind enemy lines. No one. It was Red Dawn. He's actually he was captured, and it was Vietnam War, and he gets out and he goes to a hospital, a naval hospital, wherever it was, and his guys like sneak him out under a wagon and bring him back to his ship, and I didn't serve, and God bless every single human being that served in the military. It's not like serving in the police department or the fire department or the EMS.
it's not even
just
close.
not.
Not
It's
even
just
close.
it's not even close.
Not even close.
It does. You can't compare. And guys that and in our day and age, these are guys that volunteered for it, not back then where they were drafted. These were human beings that said, "Hey, I'm going to go and do this." And I think it was the movie Red Dawn. He gets the CIA wants to interrogate him and talk about his captors, what to do, and his guys sneak him out and bring him back to his ship, and his ship is waiting for this guy who's been gone for like a year and a half, in nightgowns and whatnot, and brings him back to the boat, and they just fucking light up. And I can only think that that's a similar thing. Like I'm coming back to my guys, like. Saving Private Ryan. Matt Damon's character says, and this is all off the cuff here. I don't have any notes on this. Matt Damon's character says in Saving Private Ryan, when you see Tom Hanks says, "What are we supposed to tell your mother when we find you?" And he says, "You tell her that I was with the only brothers that I have left. A very similar, like, I just want to get back to my guys.
Yeah, what was interesting too was those guys I met when I got to Afghanistan. They were an active duty unit out of Japan. I got attached to them. I was in the reserves, and so when we joined them, look, they had been together for years, and within one patrol, right, and you start fighting, and you get this bond. And now it's just you guys out there, and that's what created that like familial bond, right? They obviously were much closer with each other, but like that, you guys are just family, And that was it. Coming home, I missed that. Coming home to my actual family, sometimes it was just simpler to go back with the boys, Or
with the police department, like so. It depends on where you work. So you have your sector. Like for me, where I worked, my sector, I chose to be in a very busy area. And then there were other guys that worked in sectors that were kind of slow. You're like, oh, I'm going into this shithole where everyone is equal. Like in the police, and in the police department, and you can all attest to this, is that you have folks that are cops that, spend their career answering the phones or sweeping, the broom, or they work in an office somewhere. And you're like, no, I'm forward.
Don't even get me
I'm
started.
forward front, and you're like, oh, so you worked at your experience was that I was in a place where every single guy, woman, man or woman that I served with was in the same shit. Like we were all out there doing the same thing. So maybe today I was out there and you were back in the office, and then tomorrow I got the day off and I was in the office and you were back out there.
Right.
Unlike the police department where you have people that just kind of got their little house mouse job and did their thing, and you're like, no, it's every day. It's so for you to be in there a day or two makes sense that it clicked like that.
It's interesting. When you retire, I'm sure if you go back to where you were, you talk to new cops, and you really don't have to talk. You know what they're going through, and they knew what you went through. It's the same thing when I meet other Marines I've never met before, and then we find out we're deployed different times to the same area. They go, oh,
I get that.
It's just an automatic bond because we walked the same paths and we fought the same people.
Yeah,
and you don't have to talk about it.
But it's like going into a bar.
Right, you already knew, right?
It's like going into a bar and hanging out with somebody, and like, oh, where'd you? Oh, boom, and all of a sudden, everyone that you're hanging out with means nothing, and you're like, we got this. Yep. I did the same. Exactly. We got the same friggin' thing, just like Kenny and Rachel would do if they saw each other in a packed bar and you're hanging out with somebody. Like, oh, we have something in common.
Right.
Yeah, we were both shot the shit full of holes.
Yeah, the three of us in a bar. It's like there's no one else there.
No one else is there.
Right.
Now tomorrow you might be by yourself and you're hanging out with people just being sociable. But then when you get that click, you're like,
it's that understanding that someone
this.
that hasn't gone through it can't you can tell them about it and they may
Right.
get it, but they won't understand it.
So now you have traumatic brain injury, no hearing in one ear.
One ear.
You come home. Does the police department turn around and say, "We don't really want a half-deaf cop"?
So I hid my problems when I first got home. I was working as a part-time cop, and knowing the problems I had, I made a decision. I said, "Look, I'm going to work. This is my life. Being a cop is all I know, and when it becomes a safety issue for myself or another cop, I'm done. That's I'm not even going to try and push it past that because it's not right." And the problem was in my head, I thought, hey, if I say I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z, I don't think I can be a cop anymore. Like I learned to compensate to where it was still safe, and so I hid it all because I was afraid that if I told them, they'd say, "Nah, you're done. Give us your badge and gun. Good luck. Go be, work on a desk somewhere." And I can't. That's not who I am. So
how'd you hide that? Like, were you
So,
when you
like-
came home? Did they want to reevaluate you medically or?
no, I got I was able. I was doing stuff through the VA. I was getting tested. One of the hearing things I learned real quickly because I would just sit there in the booth and I would hear obviously the beeps in the one ear, but then I would just sit there and then it would be like when you hear the beep, push it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I just look around, they wouldn't see it, so I'd switch my headphones real quick so I'd all hear everything in my left ear, just get through it. And I'm like,
Easy now. Be careful. There's a podcast going on.
That's right.
Yeah, to me,
statute of limitations is good.
To me, the biggest concern, and we see it all the time with with PTSD victims. We see it with suicidal people. We see it with, especially in the law enforcement community. But why did you feel that you needed to hide it?
well, this was 2012, right? And still there was that whole notion, right? You can't go to the wizard, right? Or if you go to the Wizard, your career's over with. The mental health wasn't what it is today.
So basically, you felt like
Nah, it
but
still
even-
hasn't changed that much, actually.
But even with your
Unfortunately.
hearing,
I mean, we're
It's gotten
making
better.
strides.
Yeah,
we're making
making
strides.
progress.
but even with your
back
hearing,
then-
that's more of a physical thing. That's even like that's not even a mental thing, and you still weren't comfortable going to a police administration and saying,
Well,
I need
that
help.
was, and that I don't know if I necessarily was afraid of my administration. The chief I worked in a small town. The chief was phenomenal. He actually recognized.
Tell us about Shaw, right?
Yes.
Chief Shaw?
Yeah, John Shaw.
I want to hear that story because, as I understand it, that Chief Shaw recognized there were some issues and grabbed you and was like, hey, dude, you need help. Let's get you some help. And tell us that story, please.
You know, he's the, when I talk now and I go over, I reference him, and I don't always use his name, but I say that's the boss you need to be. And he was, we're in a small town. He was my FTO, and he's the chief. And he recognized some issues, and he said, I was driving one day. He says, look, I just want to ask you questions, but I want you to know I'm here for you. I'm not coming after you. And we had a conversation, and I left the station that day going, man, I'm a part-time cop. Like, he doesn't have to do this. It's I have no protection. I'm not in the union or nothing like that.
It'd be easy for him just to dismiss
He could just
you.
go, hey, look,
Right.
man, it's not working out. Like, thanks for everything you've done, but that's it. And he didn't know me, nothing. I didn't know him, anything. And he took that to say, hey, I want to help you. And I remember going home and just thinking, man, I got to reevaluate everything I'm looking at, because if this guy is sticking his neck out for, I was a 23-year-old punk. And I thought I had, I put myself on a pedestal because I just come back from war, right?
Your balls
I'm
are
a hero.
big. Yeah.
Wait. 23-year-old punk, and you already served a few times? I don't think that's a
Well,
punk.
the
brother.
thing
yeah,
is,
I don't
look
think you're
back-
valuing yourself
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Well, so I look back and I say, the person I was back then, I hate it. I look back.
Listen,
but
I
can't
get
change
all
it,
of
right?
that, but it's that whole punk thing, brother. I gotta be honest with you. I'm sitting right across from you
I
in
appreciate
the
that.
studio.
The second you hit sand, you lost punk.
Thank
yeah.
you.
So listen, man, you're an awesome,
thank you.
awesome human being.
I appreciate that.
Listen, so okay, I'm sorry. I
But
don't mean to cut
no. So I said, if he's gonna stick his neck out, I really have to look at this. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be. I probably wouldn't be a cop. He saved my job, and my life was just in shambles at that point. And shortly thereafter, it went downhill. But that, with Gunner and him, it helped me get back on my feet.
So tell us about Gunner. How did Gunner come into your life, and what has he done to ground you a little bit better and give you what you needed?
So
And how many potato chips can I feed him before you
None.
tell me to stop?
no potato chips. So I got Gunner when I got back, and I picked him up when I was going to
What was
look
that?
at.
Tell us the whole process.
So I was looking to get a dog before I left, and the breeder that we were looking at, their male stopped reproducing. He said sorry. I said all right, and I got orders to deploy like the next day or so. I was like, that's a blessing in disguise. So I'm overseas, and like I said, we didn't have connectivity or anything. We were in the middle of nowhere, and every so often I'd be able to come home and write like a quick email to my mom or dad, hey, I'm still here, And I happened to find, like, just browsing the web, a silver lab breeder in Jersey. And I was like, Mom, check this out. I'll talk to you in a month or whatever. And I came back the next time to an email from Stout Silver Labs, and they said, hey, your mom talked to us. We're going to be having a litter, right about the time you get home. Don't worry about the deposit or anything. You have first pick of the mail. Just come home. And, at that time, I didn't realize what that email meant until months later. So I came home, and I started going through all these problems, and my life was spiraling, just out of control. I was drinking and doing all this stuff we talk about, and how to not do it. I was doing it.
How to deal with PTSD? I mean,
I was,
honestly,
I was saying I don't have it. I wasn't hurt. All this stuff. I was making excuses.
So pretty much
And
everything that all three
literally
of us
everything.
have
I
ever
was
said.
saying
Yeah.
the biggest thing I said when I was
You
drinking.
realize you're sitting amongst four people that were saying the same thing, right?
I said when I was drinking so much, I said I was deployed when I was 21 and 22, 23. I'm just making up for lost time, right? That was my excuse. And
Celebrating life.
yeah, something like that. So
Or what you believe
a
is
buddy of
life.
mine said,
Love you,
he
brother.
reached out, he said, hey man, you might want to look at making this dog a service dog. I think he could really help you. I was like, all right, I don't know really what that means, but he has a service dog. He trained service dogs. So he came with me to pick out the dog. I said, because I'll just pick the cutest one. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at. He's doing tests, and I was looking at this one dog. Gunner was the runt of the litter, and I didn't want him. And I was looking at this one dog, and Gunner kept coming and pushing all the other dogs and jumping into my lap, and I kept pushing him away. And he kept coming back. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I want to see this dog. And I was sitting on the ground, and my buddy puts his hand on my shoulder. He goes, brother, there's no test I can do. That dog picked
He
you.
wants you. He's
Picked
picking you.
Yeah. So I said, that's going to be Gunner. And I said to the breeder, I said, look, I want to bring him home at 46 days old. And I did some research labs. That's like the best time
time
to
frame.
break them from their mother, especially because he was going to be working for me. So it was like, a couple weeks later, it got to the point where I said, you know what, I don't want to live anymore. And I made the decision to kill myself. I made a plan, and I chose the day before I was due to pick up Gunner because I didn't want I didn't want to have Gunner and my family to be dealing with my death and a new dog, as it'd be a daily reminder. And when I kill myself, he would go to a loving family. And I also didn't want to do it too far away from that day because I didn't want my family to go ahead and bring him home as like some memoriam or something to me. I just wanted to be all like out of everyone's life.
Just be
forever.
finished.
Yep, done. Nothing. I didn't want anything about me ever around again. And so I put a bottle of pills on my nightstand on May 5th, and we went out for Cinco de Mayo, as young 20s do. And the plan was
early 40s.
40 still
Yeah.
doing exactly.
And I remember I was kind of at peace. I said, you know what? I can't wait to just drink one last time with my friends, and
Just be done.
tomorrow I won't wake up. And I just, whatever. And I put the bottle of pills on my nightstand. We go out, and I drank so much that they throw me on my couch, and I pass out on my couch. Never make it to the bottle of pills. And the next day, I remember my parents banging at my door. They had a key. They finally came in, and I'm hungover, and they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "We gotta go pick up this dog." And I'm like, and I walked in to get changed real quick, and my alarm was going off, and it was the tow had waking me up to get the dog, and I was like, I wasn't supposed to hear that alarm, like that. I'm not supposed to be here. And I thought I felt low the night before. I was even lower. And I remember sitting in the back seat on the way as they were driving up, and I'm hungover, I reek of booze, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm just the biggest piece of crap in the world. Like, I can't even kill myself. And
Why though? Why? What?
I couldn't even do that right.
But what in your life? What had brought you to the point where you're like, you had a job, you were working. What was
I
so
had a job,
awful about
but-
your life at that point?
So
And I ask that only because
Absolutely.
you're in this room full of cops,
Yeah.
and the people that are listening to this are all cops.
Yep.
And I think
On the
probably
verge of killing
70%
themselves.
have cops have thought about like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, 'cause
I'm stressed. I'm like, I'm done. Like, what
So-
made you think I'm done?
I was dealing with all this stuff with this PTSD and the brain injury and all that stuff. I was afraid to get help. I was getting some help from the VA, but I was being, I was treading cautiously. But then one of the biggest things was, I was a part-time cop. I wanted to be full-time. I had missed in Iraq. I missed a hiring by the police department I worked for as a Class 2. When I left, I was getting out of my waiver period, and I was deployed 2 to 3 years. I was waivable as a Class 2, and by that
I don't
time,
know the class stuff, but
so
basically,
in
we're
New
thinking
Jersey-
I'm not going to get
I
a
forgot,
full
you're
time
New York.
police.
Yeah, so in
you were thinking
in-
I'm not going to get a full time
Yeah,
police
so
job.
in
I'm
New
going to be flipping
Jersey-
burgers the rest of my life.
Well,
I don't want to do
not
this.
necessarily. In New Jersey, you can be a boardwalk cop, a Class 2. It's a part-time officer. You can, from 3 years from the date you graduate that academy, a department can hire you full-time, and you just go back to you sit in the back of the next academy class for a couple hours.
It's called waivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, wavering.
You don't have to go back through the
All
whole
right.
academy,
Right,
and
right.
you work.
But you have 3 years to get hired as a full time cop.
Right.
Cop
Yeah, to be
before
able
you
to
have to
use
go
the
back
waivers.
and get trained again.
Retrain
Right.
as much.
Gotcha.
So now,
gotcha.
now I'm in that point where I can't get hired full-time without having to go back to the whole academy. I've been a cop now for so many years, and I'm like, wait, I have to go back.
And who the hell wants to go back to the academy?
And-
One, I didn't want to go
course.
back, but two, everyone was hiring Class 2s that were waivable or full-time certs, and I'm like, where do I go? That added stress.
And you're sitting in
and-
the sand while everybody else is getting their opportunity.
And on the top of that, if I went to a new PD, I'd have to go through a medical, and I was worried. That's in the back of my mind. Like,
The
what
hearing.
if I don't?
Of course.
Yeah, the
what if I
hearing.
don't pass the medical? What happens? And just everything. Look, I was not a good person to my friends, to my family. Like I was a jerk. I was drinking excessively. I was making excuses for everything, and it got to the point where I said, I'm tired of being their problem. I thought I was their burden, and in reality, they would probably go, no, you weren't a problem at all. But to me, I was their burden. I was their rock.
Well, your
that was
mental
causing
But
the
you were
crash.
but you were a little jerkish.
Absolutely, and
Not
I
a
said,
little
that's
Douchebag.
why-
Nobody likes an asshole, Andrew.
In your world, you thought everybody was looking at you when technically
course.
they really weren't.
Yeah,
They really
you
weren't.
you
Yep.
were the only one judging
Right.
you.
Absolutely,
And
and
they were
it got
actually
to the
probably
point where I
all
said,
looking
I'm
up to you.
tired. Looking back now, I'm
Right.
tired of judging myself. I'm done.
Right,
I'm
and
out.
as Johnny just very eloquently said, all the people that you think you were burdening were probably the people looking up to you the most.
Yeah, it's in when I remember, right? I wrote letters in Iraq and Afghanistan, like, hey, look, if I die, if you get this letter, I'm dead, right? And because I died fighting for my country, I wrote the same letters to my family before I tried to
When
kill
you
myself.
thought you were gonna.
And I remember, writing to my sister, and I just. It's weird when you write a letter. When you're done, that's the last thing they're ever going to have of you, right?
How long ago was
And
that? How long ago was that?
This was 2012.
Right.
And writing, I remember talking about, apologizing to her for lying. She looked up at me as this big, her hero, right? This war fighter.
Do you realize you're all of our heroes? Every
I'm not a hero.
Well, now.
Listen to me. Listen
Absolutely.
to me.
Absolutely.
Every American that's listening to us right now, listening to you, you're our hero.
Thank you.
And listen. So
Appreciate
you
that.
continue your story.
Thank
but,
you. And-
don't sell yourself short, brother.
Thank you. And, I remember, I was sorry for lying, and, I was sorry for being weak. And
Not weak, brother.
To
not weak.
her,
To your
in
sister,
her
to your
mind,
sister,
I'm the
right.
strongest man in the world,
Right.
right? And here I
But
am,
to
I'm
us,
about to
you
kill
were too.
myself, and I just, that was the hardest letter I wrote. I wrote to my brother, my mom, my father. My sister was the hardest one because, she was the one that I was her Marine brother, and that.
Look at you right now. Look
Every time I talk
you
about
right
it,
now. I can
get
see
all
it in your
emotional.
face,
Yeah,
man.
of course.
Yep. And
Listen, you're an incredible human being. Just by sharing the story, you
Thank you.
absolutely know you're an incredible human being.
But you know what? They put me on my couch, and the next day when I got to the breeder, there's a picture. The first, she handed me the dog, and I'm holding him, and in that moment I said, I can't kill myself. I got to figure this out. And he gave me that responsibility and that purpose. I went from when I was in Afghanistan, I was 23 years old. I was, as a civil affairs guy, I carried a bunch of cash around. I carried 50 grand in cash at any given time in a backpack. I was the direct link between all the villagers, all of the stuff that we did to try and fight the Taliban and all that. And I had all this responsibility. Then I came back to Jersey where I could only work part-time. And at the end of my shift, the state said I had to lock my gun up in a gun box because they didn't trust me to take it home. All my responsibilities taken away.
Gone.
With him, that all came back because even after I got him, I was still drinking heavily and all that. But I had to get up to take him out. I had to feed him.
You felt
and
responsibility.
we had to go to training.
You're responsible. You
Yep.
had you said, I'm going to take on this another, I'll say human, but for all intents and
that's
purposes,
what it was.
it's a human.
Absolutely.
I'm responsible like a child. And Rachel, we've had this discussion. But
he was a reason.
Has a few dogs. I have children. You have dogs. And then that's your child.
Yep.
I have a responsibility to this child to do something more.
Yep.
And
And
that changed your
It
thought,
absolutely
He was
right?
my
And-
reason to leave the bar. He was my reason to wake up in the morning. He
Oh,
was
because you don't
my-
want him shitting on the floor.
Right.
You got to step on it.
Look, a reason,
Whatever the reason.
Whatever it is.
a reason is a reason,
Whatever
Tom.
it is. Whatever it
But,
is, it worked.
You know,
right?
But it worked.
I
It
remember
worked.
we were working out, and I would go. Me and my best friend would work out, and we go to the bar. We worked out to go to the bar. It's so we didn't get fat. We weren't in great shape, but we just.
Yeah, I skipped half
I mean,
of that.
I get
skipped
it.
half of that.
So-
I skipped the working out part.
And
I get it.
I remember one night we work out, we go to the bar, and I ordered a water. I was so thirsty, and he comes up to me, and goes, "You sober now?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And he part of me was busting my balls, and in the back of my head, I had thought about that conversation I had with Chief Shaw, and in the moment I said, "I don't know," and that would have turned into 2, turned into 3, that led into a year of sobriety, and the whole the whole time, that was after that day, my life started getting so much better. You know, we were going into training, so that was helping. But man, sobriety helped. I started actually talking about my problems. I went to more doctors. I realized, you know, talking with Chief Shaw, like he got me an earpiece. He said, "Dude, it's fine. Get your earpiece. You know, we'll figure this out."
But the training must. I mean, he is as well trained. Like, obviously, there was schooling involved.
Yes. Yeah,
with both of you, not just
we went together.
not just him, right?
Yep,
Like,
we went
is it
together.
Him.
Him. Yep.
It's him.
Gunner.
So not just him. Like, you guys obviously put a ton of work into this relationship, which I think what you're saying is saved your life.
Absolutely.
This dog saved your life.
He 100% saved my life.
So we obviously we follow our social media pretty closely, even sitting in this booth. And Jan Miller, who I'm sure you know, is requesting that we ask you the time that Gunner ran to first base for you.
So last year I was surprised with a trip to the Phillies fantasy camp down in Clearwater. And one of our teammates had gotten hurt, but he had this bet with some of the other Phillies about having to get on base, and it was a whole thing. So I said, well, why don't Gunner pinch run for you? And he goes, all right. So he hits the ball. I send Gunner to first base, and you know, Gunner tags it back. I said, man, he's got a better on-base percentage than I do. Crap.
Let me ask you a quick question.
This dog's so amazing.
Where did the name Gunner come from? How did you come up with the name? Did the name come from something, you know?
It's a very
Yeah,
close to
because
your heart.
he was named before you ever saw him, right?
Gunner was, so my dog growing up, Sandy, was a chocolate lab. And when she passed away when I was in Iraq, and I didn't want to get another chocolate lab. You know, it was very, you know, I can't replace her, right? And I remember before I went to Iraq, I said to my parents, I said, look, if one of you die, like, that's fine, just tell me. If my dog dies, don't tell me. Like, I'll be crushed.
Right,
you know,
right,
like, I'm not going to be able to
right,
finish
right,
my tour.
right.
And they, so I get home, and the night, like, we're pulling up in my driveway, and my younger brother goes, oh, by the way, Sandy's dead. I'm like, what? So we were talking about it, and I figured out the night she passed away, I was up in the machine gun. And I was mainly a driver, but that night I was just up in the gun. And so for that, I gave him the name Gunner.
Gunner.
Yeah.
All right.
So some of the comments here are from your Aunt Valerie, who basically says, "Shut the fuck up. Let Andrew tell a story." No, she wrote, "Please let Andrew tell a story." I don't think we were really interrupting you too much, but we try to get there.
And they said Gunner's your hero.
Christopher.
Gunner's their hero, not you.
Christopher Spasatempo. Andrew Einstein. I will always remember the day I met you. I still tell your stories to everyone I meet. You and Gunner have been an inspiration. Getting lots of really great comments here. I don't have my laptop, so I'm just flying off my phone here. But your aunt telling us to shut the phone up. That's fine. Sorry, Aunt Valerie.
Sorry, Aunt Val.
We're trying to get to it.
Aunt Val, really,
this has
relax,
turned.
will ya?
This has turned into Gunner saving your life, and it's turned into something for you to help others, specifically Blue Suicide.
Yes.
Which is, I don't care where you work, busy, active, whether you're in like Kenosha, freaking Wisconsin, or New York City, or Newark PD. Blue Suicide is a really big deal. In 2019, we had 228. In 18, we had 174. So there was a big bust. There was a huge influx in that. Luckily, right now, believe it or not, we're only at 125 in 2020, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been able to turn your positive experience and your I'm at the bottom of the barrel and I'm done, I'm checking out, and found a way to save your own life with the help of others, and now you're using that to help others, which is ridiculously commendable. I mean,
Thank you.
like I said, most people would just, like you said, I don't want help. I'm afraid of the what's going to come, the repercussions, and you owned it and said, hey, it's there.
Well, I can tell you,
let's talk about this.
There's been a change, and we're making headway in mental health among the Blue family, law enforcement, even first responders. Right, we're light years from where we need to be, but we're getting there. And in Jersey, they started this resiliency program late last year, and I mean it's a phenomenal project. Essentially, the idea behind it is any cop in any PD can call any other cop that's a resiliency program officer in any PD. Like a Cape May cop can call a Sussex County department, be like, I need to speak with their RPO, and that person will be able to guide them to where they need to be. When I talk about resiliency and whatnot, I know the biggest thing I hear from the officers is trust in the admin, right? Sure, it's great to help each other out, but they're afraid, rightfully so. Their badge and their gun is their life. So, when I teach and talk about my story and I get to be in front of bosses, I say, look, I call it the check engine light theory. So when you have a car, a cop comes in and says, hey, boss, my check engine light came on. He goes, okay. They take it to the mechanic. They say, figure out what's going on. Get it back online as soon as possible. We invested a lot of money in that car. So I said, why aren't we doing the same thing with our cops?
Yeah,
why are we, you don't
Amen.
take that car and send it right to the scrapyard. Why are we, and we're getting away from that mentality. But why was the mentality, if your check engine light comes on, why are we saying, yeah, you're going to the scrapyard?
So
We'll
you got
replace
cars
you.
that don't have the check engine
Oh, we have a
light
lot.
on? I'm just wait a minute. I'm all confused here.
So this panel right here of what we're doing was very it was designed on purpose. Andrew going through what he went through. Kenny had been shot. Rachel had been shot, and our next guest, Gerald Veneziano, Fairfield police officer, was also shot off duty. Basically, driving his car down the road, some guy tailing him for miles and miles. At some point, pulled over a couple of times to let this guy pass because obviously there was something going on there, which you couldn't understand. Pull over, guy wouldn't pass you. Drive a couple of miles again on the way to work. Pull over again, guy still not passing. Like, what the hell is going on? And then at some point, let the guy get up next to you. Hey, dude, roll the window down. What's going on? And he just starts shooting at you. Like, is that a fair depiction of that story? Like, no prior beef, didn't know this guy from anywhere, just tailing you for whatever reason he was tailing you. Maybe he knew you as a cop. Maybe he knew family members. Maybe he thought it was a mistaken identity. Maybe there was road rage, but not really, because road rage typically means that there's two parts to that story where someone might say, hey, he cut me off, but that didn't happen. And this guy just rolls up on you and shoots you, 6, 7 times?
Eight.
It's like 8 or 9.
Eight?
Yeah, 8.
Eight times? You return fire? Like, I can't even... I guess this type of thing happens often where a kid in the street will, and we see it now, the knockout game, where some kid will just punch like a 90-year-old grandma in the face just to do it. But here's the thing. When that kid walks by that 90-year-old grandma and feels like, I'm not going to do that, goes on to the next victim. Apparently, for whatever reason, the guy that decided that he wanted to kill you that day maybe didn't know you were a cop, may have not, but decided that you were going to be his victim.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
How does that even...
Yeah, the whole story starts, I was going to work. I was pretty cold out that night, so I went to Sports Authority to get some earmuffs. And, I got on the highway afterwards, and, this car got a little close to me. And, I noticed it as I was driving. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? So I pulled over into the right lane to try to let him pass me. And, and we did this back and forth, the whole way from Clifton to Fairfield. And eventually it got so bad that, I pulled over in the left lane. And the guy stopped. I pulled over on the left-hand shoulder, and the guy stopped in the left-hand lane and wouldn't pass me. This is in the middle of Route 46 going into Fairfield.
What time of day is this? Like, give everybody an idea what time.
6 o'clock in the afternoon,
evening?
6:20 maybe, somewhere
Which
around
means
there.
like traffic central
Yeah, it
in
was
that part of the
busy,
world.
Yeah. So, I called my friend who was working that night, and I'm like, someone's got to pull this car over. Like, something's going on. Like, I can't get
what's
away.
up?
And they're like, yeah, we don't, we're on 2 big calls, and we don't have anybody to stop the car. So I'm like, all right. So I hang up the phone with him, and, we keep driving, and he still keeps, following me the whole way. And I get off the exit for my police department, and he still follows me, and off the exit, and the exit's right off 46. So we go into the police department lot, and he still follows me. So you could turn right or you could turn left to get into the police department. Like the left goes to an industrial complex, and the right goes to police department. So I go and I make a right, and he makes a left into this closed building. You know, no reason for him to even go there at all. So I keep going into Fairfield Police Department lot, and I'm like, something's wrong here, you know. So I, like an idiot, I turn around.
No, like an investigator. That's what we do. That's what we do.
So pretty much I turn around and I go back, and I find the guy in the parking lot. So
Hey, listen, you're in your personal vehicle.
Yeah.
And he's in his personal vehicle, and you're minutes away from just showing up for your job at work.
Uniform on, uniform off.
No uniform.
No uniform, and this
Going
guy
to work.
right, and he follows you from like a parking lot.
No, from Clifton.
Yeah. I mean, so and you get to this point, so
I just had this weird feeling that something was wrong, and you know, so that's why I went back to investigate it. So I pulled up next to him, and I had my badge out in my hand already, you know, ready to go, and I, you know, showed it to him. I said,
"What's up?
What the fuck? What are you doing? Why are you following me?" And as soon as I put my badge back in my pocket, because I was still seated in the car, he just pulls up. We're like next to each other, parked next to each other, and he just pulls out a gun and starts shooting from his car into mine.
Are you nose to nose, or
no, you know how
you
like cops, you know, like
side to side,
door to door,
like
side by
passenger?
side.
Oh, driver to driver. So you went opposite, like
no,
opposite
driver to passenger. Like
okay,
something like that. So then he just opens fire. So I try to jump out of the car, you know, based on, you know, training and all that stuff to get out of the way. And I was going to use my car as cover. Little did I know, my car was in neutral, or still a drive, actually.
It rolled out.
I had my foot on the brake. I didn't put it in park. So I got out of the car, and the car rolled away. And I had no cover.
Jesus.
So this guy's shooting at me from inside his car while I'm laying on the ground. And he just keeps fucking, you know,
Blasting away.
Thank God I was carrying, you know, on the way to work. And, you know, I shot back. Obviously, I didn't know, you know, at that point I was shooting at his muzzle flashes. That's it. I couldn't hear anything, couldn't really see anything. The first bullet went in my face. So, you know, I was pretty much, you know, I couldn't see anything at all. So I shot back just to get him to drive away. You know, I knew nobody was in the parking lot. It was empty. You know, the building was empty, so I wasn't really, you know, there was, you know.
You don't even think about that, though. It's just let rounds go. Let's just stop the assault. Yeah, sure.
So thank God I, you know, fired back at least, and that's what got him to drive away. So now I'm laying in this parking lot. Nobody knows where I am. Empty parking lot. Building's closed.
The car's rolling
Industrial
away.
area.
Car's rolling away.
Right? And I'm like,
so what you're saying is you have
what do I do?
everything going for you.
Yeah, I'm in good shape at this point. So
how many times do you realize how many times you were hit at that point?
No, at that point I didn't even know. I know I got shot in the head, and other than that I didn't know.
You got shot in the face?
In the face. It went in my mouth and
torso, like the.
You can still hear. You can
I didn't
still
know anything
see.
else besides my face.
I'm hit.
That's it.
I'm hit. That's all you know is you hit.
Yep. And you know, I got up. Well, I didn't get up at that point. I was laying there, and I'm like, "That's it. We're done here." You know.
Game over.
I'm not gonna make it. So I got this like last bit of you know, like courage. You know, I started thinking about my family, and you know, I can't just lay here. So I made my way to the road, which was, you know, kind of close. Maybe, you know,
like crawled to the road, like
not kind of close. Give it.
Come on, it was a long.
So that guy takes off.
He takes off.
He peels off.
He's gone. Yeah.
You're laying there with 6 or 7 holes in your body.
Yep.
And how?
And
far,
now you're crawling
and how
to
far
get
is,
to a place where someone might see you.
How far is the highway from where you are?
Well, it's a main road, and it's like 70 yards, maybe 60 yards. So I'm like, let me give it one more chance, one more try, you know, to get to the road, so maybe somebody will find me. So I do it, and I get to the road, and I'm laying there in the gutter of Fairfield Road, pretty much, and I'm like trying to wave people down.
Someone see me.
All right, and cars are fucking passing me. And I know they saw me because I remember looking up and I see brake lights, people hitting their brake lights, and they just
like,
keep
what
going.
did I see?
And they just kept going. So finally, 2 people stopped, and you know, they called 911, and you know, eventually, thank God, the 2 calls that I was telling you about that they were on, one of them was, you know, down the block. So they left that call, and they all came to me.
Were these guys that that worked in your department?
Yeah.
So the first officer that arrived at that scene know you.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
that's our guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it came in over. The person who called said on the phone that it was a Fairfield police officer, Officer Veneziano. So the dispatch put it out as Officer Veneziano's been shot on Fairfield Road or whatever. I don't know the exact transmission, but it was very close to where they were, and so there was an ambulance on that call as well. So they all left and came to me. And, I was, at that point, I started to realize how bad things really were. I got shot in the leg, which was the worst. That one hit my femoral artery, broke my femur. And I started to realize I was bleeding out. So the one officer that got there, she's like, they're all looking at my face. And I'm like, no, it's not my face. It's look at my leg. Right?
The face was this bad yesterday.
So I'm like, no, look at my leg. My leg is the bad one. So that's when they, cut my pants off and everything, and they start realizing that, we had an artery, and luckily we had quick clot and some other thing, quick tourniquets and stuff like that they used to stop the bleeding. And there was a state police helicopter was in the area. This so happens to be, and they landed at the airport in Fairfield, and they pretty much threw me in the back of the ambulance and
it's one of the
took
first.
me to the airport, and by that time I was in University Hospital in Newark.
It's one of the first quick clot documented saves in New Jersey, correct?
Yeah, it definitely was a big part of it.
Did you go back to work after that, or any what capacity, if any, did you go back to work?
Well, I was in the hospital for a while, and then I was in rehab for a couple of months after that, and then eventually I went back to light duty, and I worked a desk for a while, and then I decided to go back on the road. So, I asked my chief if I can go back, and we did all the right things. I went to the doctors, and everybody cleared me, and I went back on steady night shift for the next 4 years after that.
Then what happened? Come on, man. Tell me what happened next.
There's more? Wait, there's
Should
more.
I show him the pictures of the first wreck after you went back, or should we just skip to the next story?
The guy gets clipped with how many rounds? How much? Tell everybody. How
7?
many rounds were you hit with?
Eight extra holes in his body.
Listen, by some cuckoo clock that just wanted to shoot somebody. That's really what it boiled down to. And this Mama Luke picked you. Is that an honest statement?
And how many years did you have that round in your face before they finally took it out?
It was like a year almost.
No, it looks like it's still in there. Well, we talked earlier about how many extra holes you guys have in your bodies.
17
between the three of you. You guys have 17 holes or dents in your body that you didn't have when you were born.
Right.
Like, guys, if you guys are listening to this show right now, we have 3 police officers here that have 17 extra holes or dents in their body from gunshots that they didn't have when they were born.
Just so you know, all right, I got shot in the very top of my
head. I laugh because, this is what we do.
Listen, it's no lie. I got shot in the top of my head. All right?
Swiss Cheese Club.
Yeah, Swiss Cheese Club. Right.
Swiss Cheese Club.
For life.
So, listen.
Lean in.
Listen, I know this is not a PG radio station.
It's not.
But I could say this. My wife said to me, no matter what angle we're having sex, she sees a hole.
We see a hole.
That whole 69's got nothing to do with most men. With me, it does.
Look, we all have our own trials and tribulations, and for some reason, Gerald's story always kind of strikes a chord with me, and
it should with everyone.
It should, as it should with everyone. You are correct.
Yep.
But the guts and the courage and the will to live that it takes to drag yourself 60, 70 yards, regardless of how far it was, from where he was, in the hopes to find help, the helplessness that you feel in that moment,
The
I'll
unsworn civilian population has no fucking clue.
And you know what? Like,
They have
even
no
we had Will Jimeno on.
fucking
right?
clue.
Will Jimeno 2 weeks ago, same story.
Yes.
You guys are in the same place. We're like, I'm sitting here, and if I don't make a move, I'm going to die.
Like,
and I need to get back to my
Look,
family.
I
need
had
to get
no
back
idea. I had no idea my backup was there when it was there, right? Because I was preoccupied
slightly.
So, but when I stop and think about when I had that woosah moment, when I felt that hand on my shoulder, and it was and it was Ryan saying like, "I got you," like that level of woosah. It is amazing. And to think that he went through what he went through without that level, right?
Listen.
Like that took the guts and the courage and the chutzpah
To get in
that
there.
it takes
To get in there, yeah, sure.
to drag yourself that far.
Well, you're looking at a cop. You're looking at a cop
to
that someone
survive.
just shot, and the person that just shot you is right there. In your case,
Right, right.
So I'm going right back into that battlefield, just like any soldier. I'm going right back into that battlefield to pull my brother or sister out. But I need to go there and do that.
Except there
Like-
was no backup there.
No,
right?
there wasn't.
There was no one for
that
him.
was Gerald just saying, "Hey, I want to see my wife again."
He was
I need
he
to
was his
crawl to
own
a
hero
road.
that night. Like,
Listen,
and,
this
and
is-
that's incredible.
That's
to me.
self-preservation.
This is what kind of like what I think we're maybe. I don't mean to be cutting into this conversation, but I was in uniform when I got shot. Rachel was in uniform when she got shot. Gerald was on his way to where he left his cocoon and
His happy
drove,
place.
and then somebody follows him, and Gerald ends up getting assassinated in his personal vehicle on his way to work. This suspect, that this scum-sucking, low-life, scum piece of shit that is.
Just tell us how you feel.
Listen, this is no lie.
Let it out. Let it out.
Listen, I could in my
Fuck this
rightful mind,
motherfucker.
I could find myself choking him and enjoying that.
Attaboy.
But all of that.
Attaboy.
But so he's in plain clothes in his own personal vehicle, and it could have been any citizen.
Yeah.
He didn't know
Right.
that Gerald was a police officer in Fairfield.
Or did he?
No,
And-
no,
or
did he?
no, he didn't.
We don't know. We don't know.
No, listen.
No, in the,
Well,
tri-
you
no,
know,
in the
if the
trial,
police officer
we don't
showed
know.
my
We don't
badge,
know.
I mean, that's
We don't
it.
know if it was. We don't know if it was a road rage. We don't know if it was actually
Listen,
knew
no,
you.
we actually now do know.
That he had no connection.
No connection. This guy was a stone cold fucking
Psycho.
psychopath, killing fucking crumb, piece of shit, liberal, cocksucking,
Could have
low
killed.
life.
Could have killed grandma. Could have shot grandma.
Listen,
Didn't care.
Any
No,
one
there,
of us
I mean,
in
there
this
was
room.
there was a connection.
But there was. But we're not really
But
sure.
that
And
he-
we
but
talked
that
earlier.
he didn't know.
Yeah, but we talked earlier about that. Is
It
that
was-
we don't know if there was.
It was like a
because
coincidental.
At the trial, Gerald didn't testify. Thank goodness, because for the victim to testify again only victimizes you again.
The guy was
that
a
piece of shit.
fucking
That piece of shit took a plea.
listen,
What,
he-
15 years? You got 15,
Yeah, he's-
15-year plea?
and he's out in 2.
But we don't really know where that connection was. Like,
No, I wish
there's
I did.
lots
I
of shit
honestly
going on. Oh, was there a relationship between your girlfriend and no one knows.
Listen, this is the
None
sad
of
part
that
about the whole
was
thing
ever-
is it could have been you driving down the street. It could have been any citizen. He picked Gerald.
Who would shoot this face? Look how pretty I am.
Listen, this is no lie.
I would
Listen,
shoot that
this-
face.
This
I'm
is
not
no
gonna
lie.
lie.
I may lick it. I may not shoot it. But
Family show. God damn it.
Awkward.
But no, your face, Rachel, I would lick. But
Thank you,
anyway,
love.
he picked Gerald, and Gerald got the tail end of it.
You drew the short straw.
Yeah, and fared better than 99.9% of the people would.
And it took whatever time it took. They finally matched the gun with this cuckoo clock out of Union County, and and he could tell you the best or the worst. The court system, I think, in my heart and in my failed you.
Failed him.
Yeah,
It failed you.
me,
They found a guy because of the match of the gun because he was shooting a fucking traffic light or something out, whatever. They matched the gun that he had with his shooting months and months later, and Gerald and I have been close forever, and the system failed him in the end. This guy's going to be out. He'll be walking amongst us probably relatively soon.
2 years.
2 years, right?
Right.
Less than 2
He'll
years.
be amongst us, and and Gerald is a now he leaves the job and becomes a business.
I really want to go back. I want to go back to that. I want to go back. I want to go back to that story, and I need you to tell it when you knew it was time
Time for what?
To leave.
to leave.
Oh, the job?
Yep.
Yeah, he went back. He gets all fucking. How many rounds got? How many times were you hit?
8, yeah.
8 times.
Yeah.
Guy gets 8 bullets fucking through his body.
And still has the gall to go back.
Go back. He goes back to work. Listen, I don't give a shit who you are as a human being. He fucking does it. He goes back. 8 rounds, disgustingly horrific injuries. And he goes back. Why? Because he's got the love and passion for the job.
But then also has this moment.
Yeah, like
Where-
So what was the turning point?
What she's talking
Yeah,
about
what's
is,
the turning point? You're like,
even after I went back, 3 months after I got back, and got into a bad car accident. Trying to get involved into a pursuit, I got T-boned by another cop car, and I almost got killed doing that. If there was a little bit further to the right and hit my driver door, it would have been a different story. We might not be talking right now. So that was literally 3 months after I went back on the road. Then I went back for another, after that for another 3.5, 4 years, whatever it came out to be. I don't know. So, I made this stop on Route 80, and I'm thinking about Route 80 is you really don't have people to come back you up very quickly, and so I made this stop by myself on Route 80, and this typical stories don't match. Get everybody out of the car, so I got the driver out first, and I'm patting him down. I put his hands on the top of his head, and I reach in front of his waistband, and I feel a gun. So as soon as I go to grab it, he jumps over the guardrail on Route 80.
Jesus Christ!
But I don't get.
He's like a shit magnet.
I don't get the gun. So he still has the gun. So he jumps over the guardrail, and he on Route 80 some parts of it are pretty steep over the guardrail. So and it's all it is big swamp area. So I jump. He jumps over, and then I jump over. Little did I know it was like 10 foot down. So he goes down, and all I remember, as I'm jumping over, I remember him face down in the mud. I land on top of him. And, my leg got screwed up in the shooting and everything, and I had a little bit of, I have a rod in my leg and everything. So when I landed on top of him, my leg went completely numb.
Oh, Jesus.
And it shot up my back. But, me being the guy that I am, I'm like, I'm going to keep going. Because he got up and he kept running.
Not the man that you are, the cop that you are.
So, thank you. Thanks. So, I get up and I'm running through the woods in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knows, someone's coming.
You couldn't even put it over. Like, they had a radio, you couldn't put it over because you're in the woods.
Well, someone's coming. I eventually, as I was jumping over, my partner was pulling up. So, somebody was there, quick. But, and I'm running through the woods and I'm chasing this guy, and all I see is this guy, and I don't see anything else. I don't see the trees. I don't see anything. I see this guy in a white T-shirt running through the woods, and I'm like,
what the fuck am I doing?
What am I doing? And I stopped, and I dead try, just stopped, and I let him go, and I turned around and I walked back, and I eventually got back to the road, covered in mud, and the guys are like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, I'm
fucking done.
That's it.
I'm done.
And I just had that feeling like something else was going to go happen. I'm like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I know the guy's got something in his waistband,
Like, I'm not a cat. How many
I'm
fucking
not
lives
gonna-
do I have,
I'm
right?
not going to do this again.
How many
so,
lives do I have?
Soon after that, I decided to, call it quits. And
The booth is saying we have a caller. Do we have a caller or no? Thought we did. We lost it?
Listen, just
Yeah, I got this. That means there's a caller. Yeah, from that guy. No caller?
He's the producer.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah,
not my
well,
job.
either
I
way.
get this. That means there's a caller.
He's the producer.
whether it's a call or not. Listen,
The story is just, it's amazing. The
But
fact
what
that
am I-
you
what-
came back and you came back and you came back and you came back. At some point you go, you know what? I've used up most of my lives, and I can't do it anymore. I got a family, I got kids, I got do whatever you got going on in your life. Like that's enough.
Yeah.
And how has that affected you since you're retired? I have to, like, as a cop, I think back of jobs that I've had and how they could have turned out differently. We all do. Like, you think of like one or two or three, maybe half a dozen, whatever it is. I worked in a very busy place, and I could think back to dozens of jobs that could have ended differently and how they affect me now. Do you have issues now? Like, are you thinking like, wow, maybe I should have left earlier, or like this gotta be? I mean, you went through so much shit.
Like he said, when it starts to affect the safety of the other officers that you're with, that's when I'm not going to do it anymore. So when I felt that pain in my leg and I felt that maybe I might not be able to catch this guy, or when I do catch him, I'm not going to be able to, fight him.
Defend myself,
or someone else is going to get hurt because I can't catch him, something like that. Like, it wasn't really because of my leg being hurt. Like, it was because of I didn't want somebody else to get
that
hurt.
responsibility.
Yeah, but I had the same exact issue when I went back, right? Like, the second you get out there, you're like, I'm not what I once was. Like, you're so aware of it. Your body tells you every day that you're not what you were, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it as a human being.
But that changes like month to month. Like, as we get older, you're like, oh, but when you got to the point,
No,
you're like, you know what?
it's a
Holy
very
shit! Like,
no, it's a very
I
different
could have
feeling.
died. Most cops don't get into a situation that at the end of the night they say, I could have died tonight. Whether it be shot in your car, or chasing a guy in the street or down a dark road and go, oh my God! Like,
So what a normal cop would feel over a 20-year span, we felt overnight. But our calling and our desire to be what we were and what we knew brought us back, regardless of what our body was telling us. And when you get out there and you realize that you're a liability
to the people you work with,
to the people you work with,
or yourself,
who are also,
because you also have a responsibility to your family.
Absolutely.
So besides your and in Jersey, you guys, again, I always come back to my experience in the NYPD where I worked in 1 square mile. So when you call the 85 or a 13, which is a call for assistance, or hey, I'm getting my ass kicked, you got guys and men and women in seconds. Where in some of the smaller municipalities, it might take minutes.
Especially out on 80.
Or, like you said, you're out in the woods. It's like Miller's Crossing. Like if you were at a guy in Miller's Crossing, how would you explain to someone, I'm here? You might lay there for hours before someone actually got to you.
You're relying on the state police, and whereas the New Jersey State Police they're an awesome crew, but just because they're awesome doesn't mean they had someone. But
they're not present.
Yeah,
they're not present.
When they needed,
they're not present.
And when you feel like a liability, you love those people. You say family, right? And then you say the people you work with. But to most of us in this industry, they're one and the same. And you know their wife and you know their children. And when you're looking at them in the face and going, I could have gotten you killed tonight because I couldn't physically handle it.
Yeah, but you could say that about every cop that's overweight.
Okay,
like we all work with guys.
We're not addressing that.
We all work with guys that are men and women that are 300 pounds that can't get over a fence, or that's one thing. But that's your personal thing. Yeah. You're like, hey, you know what? Your responsibility first is to your family at home. That is your first responsibility, to make sure I get home to my wife or husband or significant other, or to your dogs or your cats. I need to get home safely and then go forward from there. And if you can't handle yourself physically in the field, because for whatever reason it might be PTSD, maybe you don't recognize things that you recognized 10 years ago, and then you're second guessing yourself, or in your case, like, hey, I can't really do this anymore. You gotta take a step back and say, you know what? Maybe it's time.
It starts. In my experience, it starts long before you become a police officer. It starts long before the Geralds or the Rachels of the world, it all starts, in my stupid world, it all starts when your childhood dictates your ability to be strong or weak. Gerald had a great upbringing. Rachel had a great upbringing. Some of us may not have had a great upbringing. And your strength comes from 2 years old, 8 years old, 14 years old, 17 years old, and then you realize how strong you actually can or can't be. And for me, when you're in the worst place you could be, and you were in a very worst place you could be mentally, Gerald was in a place that was like, holy shit. Rachel was in a place that, oh my God, it's Super Bowl Sunday and I gotta defend myself like we all are. And then we find ourselves saying those words, I'm about to die. And somewhere in our hearts and in our abilities, we find something that says, I need to live today. Maybe not the day before, maybe not the day after, but we find today is the day I need to live for your mom, your family, whatever it is for you, whatever it was for you. I know what it was for me. We learn to realize that I have to live for this. When I'm in a bad place, I jump into it, and I'm going to do it. And for all of us in this room, the four of us right here, we made it. We made it. We made it, and we're never, ever, ever going to be able to say we gave up. We fought, and we won.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that ability to win, then you were always going to be successful. Always. Always.
But that actually comes back to the mental strength. No matter what position you're in, and you're actually a huge portion of that is that when you're in the shit, it's going down. You have a certain I want to need to survive. You're in a place where like I don't want to live. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live. I needed help. I got it. And all three of you were in a place where you could have just sat there and said, you know what? I'm fucking done. Like, no, I need to live.
But if you think about him saying no, it's almost the same thing. It's almost like an equal parallel. It's almost like an equal parallel. Like he's thinking, listen, I don't want to live anymore. It's almost the same as I want to live. And
I had
it's
a choice after,
right
when I woke up the next day,
yeah.
and I get Gunner.
And you look back at it.
Well, I mean, look, I could have gone home that night and just taken the pills, but I decided
but it's
that
almost
night,
an equal.
I want to live.
It's almost an equal parallel. You almost say to yourself, listen, yeah, I want to die or I want to live. Mm-hmm. It's almost so equal. It's actually scary.
Well, the one thing I say when I talk about like the mental health and resiliency and whatnot, I said, I try to make it because there's no perfect plan for, one plan isn't going to help everyone, right? So I talk about, if you find yourself in a spot, if you're that cop that doesn't trust their administration or their administration, either they're just not, they're afraid to say, hey, I'm not okay. So you got to find something that when you're doing it, all your problems go away. For me, it was skydiving. When that plane went up and the door opens up, all my problems went away. So when I talk about it, I say, look, if you play basketball with your best friends, the second Tuesday every month for that hour when you're on the court, it doesn't matter how, the marriage, the financial problems, the stress at work, whatever you had going on that court, everything goes away. And even when you get off that court, it comes back. All those problems come back.
Right.
I say you have to survive till next Tuesday. Because you know that basketball game is going to come a month later on that second Tuesday. Survive until that next game. Survive till Tuesday.
Right.
And then just, if nothing else, keep going from game to game to game to game. Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty crappy way to live, having that one good hour. But you know what? Having that one good hour a month is better than being dead because you can't undo that. Like we always say, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Problem, right.
And, if at minimum, survive until Tuesday. Say I want to live.
Yeah, like my biggest thing is I say don't surrender your life. Mm-hmm. If you're going to end your life, someone's going to come take it from you. So don't surrender. Make them fight to come take it. And I mean,
And that includes yourself. That includes yourself.
correct.
Right.
Correct. It absolutely includes
Right,
yourself.
yourself.
Like, never surrender your life
Yeah,
willingly. You make, whether it's the
You know,
demons or the boogeyman,
Right.
you make them come
right,
take
listen,
it from
suicide,
you.
Suicide is something that, you know, unless you've been in that doorway, if you've never been that door, and I've been in that doorway,
Which I believe a
Listen.
number of the people in this
listen,
room have.
listen, I've been in that.
Listeners have
I've been in that doorway.
danced that dance. Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you. I remember planning how I was going to kill myself because when I got shot and I didn't think I could ever be a cop again, and they told me, and we had this conversation somewhat, they told me I was damaged goods and I could never be a cop again. And my dream at 6 years old, I wanted to be a cop forever. And I knew I was going to I planned it out in my head. I'm sitting in the living room. I remember I was going to get my 5-shot fucking Colt fucking 5-shot revolver and blow my brains out. And then I picked up the phone and asked for help. And that's the greatest thing I've done in law enforcement. I've done everything in law enforcement. The greatest thing I've ever done is when I realized I wanted to die, I picked up the phone and asked for help.
I also think, look, we one thing that I also talk about is that when we talk about cops in distress, right? I think one of the things that I don't want to say get muddled in with that conversation is we jump very quickly to stress suicide, right? Or distress suicide.
Where we look for the easy way out. I mean, most people do though. Like, how do I end this shit right now?
But like if a cop comes to their boss and says, "Hey, I'm going through something," right? They're immediately jumping to suicide, and it might not be the case. It might be. But there's distress does not equal immediate equal suicide.
Right.
And that's where, I think a lot of the cops, when they listen to these things and stuff, they go, oh, no, I'm not suicidal. But yet they're suffering in whatever. They're having, they're going through a divorce or their shift is just killing them or something. And there's all these types of things. And that's the one thing we came up with at our PD. We found cops that have gone through whatever it may be. We've had cops in officer-involved shootings. We've had cops that are divorced. We have single parents. I'm the suicide guy. And when we find an officer in distress, we figure out, hey, what is your distress? And then we link them up with a cop who's been through that same thing. I don't know what it's like to be a single parent. I don't know what it's like to go through divorce or anything like that. I can't help you with that.
Well, the biggest problem is that, we're all afraid of that the minute you ask for help for any sort of mental health issue is that you're going to be ostracized. Yep. They're going to take your guns.
Right.
You're not going to make your overtime. You can't pay your rent.
Well,
you can't feed your kids.
A lot of the time,
before coming on the air tonight, we've had this conversation before coming on the air tonight. The biggest phrase, the biggest, whatever you want to call it, is fit for duty. When somebody in your organization in law enforcement says, hey, we're going to send you for fit for duty, just that term alone makes me sick to my stomach.
Yep. Then the hairs go up on your neck.
Because what law enforcement doesn't realize, truly, is that you have distressed, right? And then you have suicide. And in the middle of that, you have supervisory or administrative
Right. They're
decision.
so worried about their...
Right? So you have a distressed cop that then goes to their administration. They say, you know what, Andrew? Because they're clearly psychological professionals.
Obviously.
They take your gun.
Fit for duty.
You're not fit for duty.
Well, they're also
And
worried
what-
about the civil
But what
liability.
happened-
The
but-
liability.
Yeah,
of
the
it.
liability.
But what
the civil
happens
issue.
right after that, right? So you took someone who
They don't
was
care. They
already
don't care.
distressed. You put more stress
Stress.
on them, and then suicide.
Right.
And then they question themselves as to whether their tactics worked.
Right.
No, clearly
Again,
your
they don't
tactics
care.
don't work.
They don't
It doesn't
care.
work.
It's like I said, like Kenny says, liability. If there's a slight portion,
Right,
it's just
right.
a slice of that.
Right.
They go, you know what? Just remove you, and now we're not going to get sued. Because God forbid you go to a supervisor and say, hey, I'm feeling a little off today, and then God forbid you shoot someone tomorrow, and they find out that you went to your supervisor the day before, you're fucked. You're
Hey, look,
so
I was
fucked.
I'm
I
not
just want to bring
saying-
up one thing real quick. Like, during my shooting, I wasn't the only one involved. Really? You know what I'm saying? There was my friends there, like my close friends that had to see what was going on.
Mm.
And part of like my stress, honestly, and is the burden that I put on
them,
all these other people.
But you didn't put the burden. That was your personal,
but
yeah,
in your-
because
in
that's
your-
how we feel. Of course,
In our heads,
Your mindset
of
was-
course.
yeah.
My
course.
head,
Oh,
like,
yes.
my head, I'm
I hate.
I'm affecting all these other people.
Yes.
I'm gonna bring it. I
it's-
got to bring it back to Gerald because I need to address with you. And you're laughing because you know it's coming. Because this is something I've gone over with him a million times. Because
We have
are
2
as
minutes
tight.
left in this. Just so you guys know,
I just.
if it's really important, throw it out there.
I'm throwing it
Get
out
your
there.
note out there.
I'm throwing it out
Boom.
there.
All right.
I want to acknowledge what the media did to Gerald. I want to acknowledge all the falsehoods and the farces and the bullshit that the media spewed about Gerald and their thoughts on what went down that night and their assumptions and their accusations about what happened to him and why what happened. The media played a huge part in like villainizing
Yeah,
a great cop. And
the whole
to-
thing was a mess. It was. I know we only have 2 minutes left, but I got to get this out there. I don't care
Sure.
if it takes longer
No.
than 2 minutes.
Take 5.
So
take 12.
I gotta pee.
when I when I got
I really gotta
shot, when
pee.
I got shot, and I was in the hospital all these times, they kept coming in. They kept asking me the same story over and over and over and over again. I kept saying the same story over and over and over again because it didn't change. That was the story.
Because they couldn't believe
They
that
were trying to-
you weren't
they were trying
involved
to-
in this
They were
somehow.
trying to get something to me to slip somehow so that I would say something different.
Stone cold victim.
So eventually, a month and a half goes by, and they still don't have anything, right? I'm not blaming anybody down there or anything like that, but I'm saying they had to find something to put in the papers because there was nothing really. There was nothing going on. There was no leads, no nothing. So one of these times, an officer or an agent, whatever you want to call it, comes into my room and he says to me, "Was this incident road rage?" All right. And I said, if it was road rage, it wasn't on my part. That's all I said, right? And I said, I was trying to pull over. I don't know why the guy was following me. I was trying to pull over and let the guy pass me. So if it was anybody, it was him. I don't know whether I cut him off by mistake and he got pissed off at me or whatever. I have no idea. Next day, Star Ledger front page. Officer admits road rage incident. Never said it. So I hope that fucking guy is listening right now. One, because he's a cocksucker, right? And he ruined everything. Not to mention all the shit that I was going through to begin with, and then I got to read in the paper because I did read the paper every day in my hospital bed.
Because road rage usually is like 2 parts, like
so
fuck you, fuck you,
yeah.
fuck you, fuck you, and then shit goes down.
So I remember asking for the paper, and the officer was there. Was like, nah,
You don't want to read
you
this.
don't want to read the paper today. I'm like, no, well, give me the paper. So I read the paper, and that part of it, honestly, was the worst part about the whole incident. I'd rather go back and get shot again, honestly, because that shit ruined me for life. Like, I talked to people 10 days
Because
later.
they said you said something you didn't say. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
say that.
because it totally
10
degrades your character as a
10
human being.
10 years later, to this day, cops will still come up to me from other towns, wherever I see them, and say, "Oh yeah, you're that cop that was in that road rage incident," and I'm like, "No,
no, I was just the guy
I
driving
don't
down the
wanna-
street and I got
don't know
shot.
why it happened. I wish I did. I really do. I want to know, but I don't. But it's not because of road
You know,
rage.
I think a lot of people have
So-
issues with, well, why did he go look?
Right, and in the end,
I went and looked because it didn't seem right.
But
Yeah.
but as a cop, wouldn't you?
You investigate.
And
Of
if you
course.
wouldn't,
And
you're
then-
wrong.
Investigate.
listen,
You
in,
investigate.
It's all
the
fake
end,
news.
and in the end,
CNN, fake news.
in the end,
There's Star Liar. That's what it
in
was,
the
wasn't it?
end, it turned out he was mentally disturbed, and he just picked Gerald as it could have been any one of us. It could have been you.
Yup.
Could have been me. It could have been any
Yup.
of us.
Honestly,
Oh,
but
12
thank-
years ago, I wouldn't drive in Jersey.
Yup.
No fucking way.
Thank God it was me. At least I had a gun. You know, it could have been some poor old lady driving down the street, and he did the same thing. to
Right,
her,
or
and
someone
she did it, and
17
she
or
back.
someone's 17-year-old
Actually,
daughter.
and the worst part about that is that guy gets out in 2 years.
Yeah, he's
Right.
out.
That
He
guy gets
will-
out in 2 years.
Right. He will be walking amongst all of us.
He'll be driving
in 2
amongst all of
years.
us. That's the worst part of that story. Thank God you lived.
Don't you want to release inmates, Tommy? I don't
Not
want
that
any
guy.
problems.
Not that inmate. That guy's a douchebag. Just the kid touchers. I'm fine with the kid touchers.
Damn it.
What a
it's
great
just,
session,
It's
man.
insane.
Listen, this
It's
was
fucking
great.
insane.
Any plugs? Anyone have plugs here they want to throw out? Anyone?
I do actually.
Yes,
The
awesome.
one plug I
Yeah,
do
Joe.
have is the kid that actually stopped and found me on the side of the road.
What's his
is
name?
AJ.
AJ, give the whole name,
He's,
man.
AJ Reese.
AJ Reese.
Yeah, AJ Reese.
AJ Reese.
Not a kid. AJ Reese is a grown man with 3 kids now.
No,
That's a
he
long
doesn't
time
have
ago.
He don't have any kids, but actually his sister is my wife now.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, all right.
Outstanding.
So that's
Hey, sis, I got a guy all beaten up and shot. You want him?
Dalen, who I love very much.
He can't say no.
So that's the only plug I got.
Oh, awesome.
Besides a couple of plugs on my.
I'm going to
Andrew?
shout out to Ultralight.
Ultralight, yeah. We gave
So
lots
listen,
of...
real quick. So again, a big shout out. We're gonna design like a challenge coin.
Yeah, we're going to do the Swiss cheese.
For Life Day?
We're
Life
going to
Days?
no,
Is that
yeah,
you
we're
guys
going
call-
to
you
do
guys
the
call them, right,
Swiss
Life
cheese,
Days?
the
Yeah.
Swiss cheese challenge club
Swiss-
challenge coin.
Challenge coin. We're gonna
It's
do
it's
Swiss
going to have
cheese.
to be a
So-
really big coin, like a pizza pie, because a lot of you motherfuckers got shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if there's any interest in that, let us know.
I'm going to give you something tonight.
Should I tell my wife or no?
Well, listen.
Don't worry, he's Irish
In
and
the
small.
alleyway around the corner,
I need another drink. Hold on. Wait a minute, Kenny.
I have a few challenge coins, but I'm going to give you a challenge coin tonight. To me, it's pretty.
Well, I love it. I love the personalization of it.
Yeah.
I got
Andrew, what do you
something
got?
for you. Thank you for having me on and having Gunner and letting us
Dude,
share our
this-
story. This is our challenge coin from Operation During War.
Oh, look at that.
So we help wounded veterans and now wounded cops with Task Force Sentinel, and
that's
our
awesome.
honor, empower, and motivate our wounded veterans and cops. We have a skydive program, an archery program, a race program, and I want to take you guys all out, and we'll jump out of an airplane and bring you on. And
He's going to jump twice. He'll jump
listen,
for me. He'll jump for me too,
Yeah,
right?
he'll jump for-
Kenny's going to jump for both of us.
Thank you very much.
No, I have to say, like, one of the best parts of this podcast, right, is it's not just the host part; it's the green room.
It's never the host part. Fuck Tommy.
it's-
No, it's fuck Tommy.
Fuck
no,
Tommy.
Bob.
I
I
he
try.
is a bit of a cunt.
I try. I just want. I
No,
just
it's-
want blue M&Ms. What's
It's-
so hard about
I did
this?
that for you already, and you still weren't happy.
Stop, Rachel. We did that.
We did. Sorry, Jacob. We did.
I go on record not saying I wanted blue M&Ms. They gave it to me to prove a point that they think I'm a little bit of a diva.
It was
awesome.
awesome.
already
I just
did.
want things done
1,000
right.
M&Ms.
I
But-
just want things done right.
to go like
Dicks.
to show the rest of the world like what happens in a green room, right? So you have a bunch of people all on the same show, relatively talking about kind of the same thing, but not so much all the time. Like I was able to sit there and have an amazing discussion with Andrew, and and it took us about 5 minutes to realize that what we're all going through, military, police, it's all the same thing.
Yep.
It's all the same thing.
Absolutely.
And we're able to, despite the fact that I look at him and I'm in awe of what he went through, and I'm like, what I went through doesn't compare to what he goes through, like what he went through.
It all compares.
Well,
Everyone's
right.
stories
Look,
are
we
right.
had this
we
conversation.
we are right now. Law enforcement are the born on the 4th of July people. Like
Right.
Vietnam vets came home from war, defending their country and doing the right thing, and ostracized and spit on and thrown, and that's what law enforcement is going through now. We are just shit on.
But
for no other reason.
When you look at these, when you look at the military and you think about what they're going through, most LEOs are like, my PTSD. Like, I don't want to talk about it because, well, there's guys out there that had it so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you may think that, but that doesn't actually take away from what you're feeling. And that doesn't take away from your PTSD. So, yes, you still have it. You might not think it's as bad as his, but at the end of the day, when you exchange stories with the people that are actually going through it,
Just talk about it.
the story ending is exactly the same.
story.
The
Absolutely.
feeling is the same. And what people need to realize is that just because you don't feel that it's up to par with the PTSD regimen, if there is such a thing, it is. And you need to talk about it, and you need to get it out there, and you need to seek help.
And PTSD,
Absolutely.
Rachel, if you correct me if I'm wrong, PTSD isn't just if you get hurt.
No, it's mental.
No,
it's,
it absolutely
it's
is
more
not
mental
if you
than
just get
physical.
hurt.
Like I was talking about
totally
the,
more
I'm
mental than
talking about
physical.
the people before, like they were on my call, like those people that seen that
No,
stuff.
absolutely.
That's you know, that's a different type of PTSD. It's just it still is. It could be worse. I don't know.
Right.
I don't. But that shouldn't go unnoticed. Either,
Yeah.
as well.
And what I'm saying is don't let your beliefs that military PTSD or the actual person who got hurt, their PSD is real. And because you weren't or your injury wasn't as bad, don't ever let that sink into
Bottom
your brain
line
that
is,
your
don't-
PTSD
bottom line is
isn't real.
don't belittle it. If you have some issues, ask for help. If you can't get it from your job, go to your personal physician that where your job won't know about it. There's no shame in that game. There's no shame in that game.
Listen, there's never a shame to ask for help, ever.
Ever.
If you listen, there's four of us in the room sitting at your table. There is no shame. Ask for help, accept help, understand help.
Absolutely.
And the greatest thing that I ever did in law enforcement was ask for help.
And if I could just add, a lot of people don't know me, and a lot of people trust people, they know and don't know. My phone number, 609-682-1309. It's always on. Call. I'll help. If I don't have the answer, I'll find someone who does.
Listen,
it's always on.
Listen,
Same.
God bless
Call.
you, and
There you
you're
go.
absolutely right.
That's what
So
the show's
much-
about. We elevate, we help, we do what we got to do. Josh, when's the next show? Next Thursday?
Stay firm.
What's the date?
22nd.
22nd, October 22nd. Last plug will be lineofdutycigars.com. We donate to the charities that you choose, www.lineofdutycigars.com. If you're doing a cigar outing, you're doing a golf outing, you do a steak night, whatever you're doing, we can help you out. We'll definitely make sure you make money. We will see you next Thursday. You
Yeah,
have something
22nd. It's Stephen Murphy and Javier Pena from Narcos.
for the Narcos guys.
They'll be- yep.
we're done?
And www.proudpig.com.
No, wait,
if you're not controlling with
Who cannot do that plug? Stop it.
Give it to him.
Johnny.
Give it to him.
Oink, oink, bitches.
Give it to him.
www.proudpig.blue. If you're not patrolling with a pig, you're doing it wrong.
Line of Duty Cigars. I get the last word. Line of Duty Cigars.
I'll never drop my voice that low.
Wrap it. Out.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue-friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers, such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths, regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose a law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com.